Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series as the drivers get ready to tackle one of the most unique racetracks that they're going to have all season long, a track that's been redesigned. It's Atlanta. It used to be hot Atlanta, used to be hot, slick, and slippery. Now it's fast, quick, and potentially a misery for some. As tonight, it's the Logan-led 225 here at Atlanta. And we cannot wait to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall with Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background. Zach, tonight, super speedway racing at a 1.5 mile course. There isn't really much on notes-wise to bring to this race except for cross your fingers and hope for the best.
Yeah, we have entered the unknown, as I would like to call it, here tonight at Atlanta Motor Speedway with this reconfiguration of this racetrack that they just recently did this past year. It is kind of throw the notebook out and rewrite it here as we learn how it's going to play out, because this is such a unpredictable track. And I think it's something we're going to see all night is we're not going to know who's going to position themselves in what times. And we even kind of talked about it a little bit before this, is it's kind of who's going to be patient and who's not going to be patient. 150 laps here, that's a lot of time here for these drivers to show some impatience that could get them in trouble.
Yeah, and it's so funny when you talk about other tracks. We talked about the old Atlanta scheme as well as Las Vegas, Kansas, Chicagoland. There's a lot of tracks in the 1.5 mile configuration where we talk about, hey, there's pack racing. It's similar, but not like super speedway racing. This is identical to super speedway racing, if not even more scary. The drafting and the big real pulls and rushes of surge of momentum that you get are bigger than you would get at Talladega or Daytona. These drivers are going to be having a handful entering the corners, but Zach, we've been hearing that the corners themselves might be the most dangerous part of this track.
No doubt. You think about Daytona and Talladega, those super speed races where this racing is exactly the same as what we're going to see here tonight. But those tracks, 2.5 mile in themselves, they are much wider corners. The apex and the acuteness of the corner is much more open. It allows these cars to have less wheel in it, and it's a little bit easier for them to get around the corners at those speeds. But here at this 1.5 mile, it's got to be more of a acute corner, so it's more tight, more packed in there, and you have to put a little bit more wheel in this race truck. And you're going to see not only guys lifting, but having to lift a lot here tonight in the pack, because the runs they're going to get, first of all, is going to be gigantic, and you're going to see those runs due to that draft and being packed up. But then when they get in the corner, they're going to lose all their downforce being in the middle of that pack, and you're going to see guys having to fight these trucks. It's a completely different task than the super speedway race that we see at Daytona and Talladega, but it's the exact same race, and so it's kind of a two-headed beast in my opinion, Sam.
And also these drivers, like we saw at that Daytona and Talladega, they usually would have what we call the yellow line rule at those two courses, but here at Atlanta, the red line is the indication of the racetrack and the transfer to the apron. There is a gentleman's agreement not to go down and make passes underneath that red line. But Zach, that's a gentleman's agreement, so you can break that whenever you want. It's more so of a, let's just hope that we don't cause wrecks by going down there. But it is technically the faster way to go around this track on the front stretch.
Yeah, it always brings a smile to my eyes when you hear gentleman agreement. It's a thing that is tested very frequently that will be seen tonight. I think will get broken very quickly. It's so tough to not go down there and try to make something happen. So at some point, somebody's going to do it. It's a gentleman's agreement to what lap ever someone sees someone do it. And then they're going to say, well, he did it, I'm going to go do it too. So you'll see more and more drivers following suit. So it's one of those things where who's going to risk those waters to try to go down there? That front straightaway is so wide. It opens up itself the possibilities to go down there and make something happen. You have these runs and you see all this open track in front of you, and you want to go as a driver and fill those holes. But then when you get down to the corner, every bit of that width of the track just disappears. It becomes pretty much a 3-lane track at that point, and you go from being 4 or 5 wide maybe on the front straightaway and having to squeeze that together to make it 3 trucks. That's where you run into incidents, and I think we're going to see it all night long here as we head into this qualifying session to see where they line up. And that's one thing we always talk about qualifying too, Sam. It's so important, but tonight I don't know how important it's going to be. It's going to be a mixed up race.
I've heard drivers talk about potentially starting on pit road. I've heard other drivers say they aren't even going to try to qualify. And there's other drivers I've heard say they want to be leading this race the whole entire time because they feel like that will be the safest aspect of this track. But in other ways, we still don't have notes on even how the drivers want to attack qualifying. Right now, we're seeing Zach Wilson trying out his hand here, going low, staying as low as possible, then drifting up like a traditional mile-and-a-half track that you would. But at the same time, these gear ratios, Zach, are also a lot longer, which causes these drivers not to be as fast as they would at the old Atlanta when they're by themselves.
Yeah, completely. I mean, you see the difference from practice. We just had practice session, and you were seeing times as low as a 30 flat. Here in qualifying, the fastest time being a 32.25. I mean, you're looking at 2 seconds of a difference there between these drivers from practice to qualifying, and that is just being in a pack, being together, and that's where the gearing ratio has to come from. You know, if they made the gear for qualifying, you know, the optimal gear to run as fast as you possibly could, you would not have enough gear when you get into that session to draft with everybody as the speeds start to pick up. So it's interesting to see how they are qualifying, because that's one thing I kind of heard a lot of drivers talking about is they don't really know what to do. You know, a few guys even asked me for advice, and I said, I don't know, just keep it as low as possible. Don't try to turn the wheel as much, and try to keep it nice and straight there going down the straightaways, not to scrub that speed. But at the moment, very close times here throughout the field in qualifying as Mark Whitley storming to the top.
And Mark Whitley, the driver I'm interested the most to see here tonight. He missed out on running the full Daytona race to start this season off, but when he pulled off and was doing a start and park for those first 2 races of the season, he was leading at Daytona. He was very much a threat to watch out for. The 77 here tonight going to be going full-time racing, and he has been one of the drivers to watch out for to go for a win. But at the same time, Zach, yet to get a win so far this season. The 77 is hoping for the best. But another driver of note to watch out for, Logan Brakey, who we see on screen, has had probably the most unfortunate couple of weeks that the 29 can ask for. He has put in so much time into practicing at the last 3 or 4 races, really. And this 29 has had the most poor finishes. He needs to start finding a better groove on the finishing side of things instead of being taken out on that first lap.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the first task he wants to check off the list, is making it past the first lap, because it's just been almost week in and week out that he just gets taken out in that very start of the race. Right now, sitting 9th on that board after a qualifying effort. It'll be interesting to see how it works out for him. As he's got to have a mental block there, saying, "Man, these start of these races are just so dangerous, and I got to figure out a way to get away from it." And as a driver that, you know, you're getting caught up in something you really can't do nothing about, it's so tough to fight through that. So we'll see how Brakey can do here tonight in Atlanta. He is a smart driver, so I expect him to try to stay out of trouble and maybe be around at the very end of this thing, because I think that's what it's going to take here tonight. Everybody can run a fast lap, but at the same time, you're going to have the smarts and the racecraft to be able to survive all 150.
Who will survive? Time will tell, as the drivers are getting themselves set up and ready to go here tonight. Qualifying coming to a conclusion. And Zach, gotta say, tonight going to be an awkward night for some, exciting for others. And currently right now, only about half the field deciding to qualify. 33 drivers going to be trying to tackle here tonight. As we take a look at our official qualifying results, sponsored by Laugh Lap. Laugh Lap is a great place to go get some great content on Instagram. Go to _lap_lap. And that will give you some great content on Instagram. Taking our poll award, though, going to be that of Mark Whitley in the 77. That of Nolan Hicks going to be taking second, with that of Ethan Smith in third. GT Irizarry coming back after suspension. The 14 is going to be in fourth place, with that of John Forbes in fifth. Anthony Gaudio sixth. Tom Moore in seventh. That of Eric Stamp eighth. Logan Brakey ninth. And Brandon Colley finishing out your top 10.
In the 11th position, it's our defending champion from Season 2 with Trenton Jump. Alongside him is going to be Zach Wilton in the 12th spot. 13th is going to be the 47 of John Mick Adams. 14th is going to go to the 6 of Gregory Smith. 15th is going to be the 71 of Carl Poulter. 16th place alongside him will be Tyler Dingler. 17th is going to go to Gregory Shaw. 18th is going to be the 72 of Jonathan Smith. 19th going to Cedric Hunter. And 20th, rounding out that top 20, is Cody Reed.
Then in 21st spot, it's going to be that of Danny Cochran, that of Jason Tamer, going to be in 22nd. Nick Crawford going to be in 23rd with Kyle Rochelle, going to be in 24th. Eric Rawling, 25th. Dakota Moniz, 26th. 27th is going to be Oli Fonseca with Martin Morales is going to be in that of 28th. 29th, Isaac Shelley with that of Joshua Freed in 30th.
And our final 3 trucks on the field here tonight for our qualifying is Kerry Trabu in 31st. 32nd is going to be Christopher Norris, and rounding our 33 truck field, it's Ryan Ferraro.
There's a lot of different drivers to watch out for here tonight, but there are drivers that were notified you have to start at the end of the line, and some had to be given an EOL because so many drivers didn't qualify, meaning that of Jason Tamer, Ryan Ferraro, Danny Cochran, Kyle Rochelle, all will be given EOL penalties and start at the end of the line for themselves, which for some, Zach, I'm so interested to see because there were talks of drivers potentially starting on pit road. And there's a few thinking about going with that, and it looks like it's going to be potentially that of Nick Crawford thinking about it, but will not. But it's actually going to be that of the 19 of Tyler Dangler on pit road for himself.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be one of the lonely ones to do it. That's going to be the big thing here. If you do start from pit road, hopefully you have some friends with you because you don't want to go a lap down. And from what I'm looking at, we do have one other truck, I believe, back there. I don't actually see no one, so it's just looking like Tyler at the moment, unless someone else pops into the truck there in the next few moments. He may be the only one elected to do that, Sam. So I'm kind of surprised by that because I thought at least a handful of guys would do that, but maybe they're feeling confident enough to where they're starting position-wise to fall to the back of this group.
Well, if you were going to do it, it had to be a full team effort to go and start on pit road. Tyler Dangler, obviously there had to be a miscommunication, or he's feeling like we're going to have the same exact scenario we had last week at Bristol, which was have a massive wreck on turn 1, which could be a massive scare to watch out for these drivers. But tonight, it's time for the unknown, for that of the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. It's Season 3, race number 7. The Logan-led 225 here at the brand new Atlanta. It's built to be like a super speedway. We're expecting super speedway-like runs. Now it's time to see who will survive. Tonight, the drivers get set. We're ready as well. Hopefully you are in the audience because we are green. And already bump drafting is going to be happening to try to get your lane lined up with some speed as they head down into turn number 1.
Welcome to the unknown, folks. Here we go down into 1. It's still side by side as you got Hicks just nosing ahead, but that inside line going to have the run here as they exit off of 2. Let's see who makes the aggressive move early.
You by 2, and the question has been, will they get single file early? And there's already a massive collection of about 5 drivers ducking automatically to the apron to fall back. They got the qualifying runs they wanted, but up front, almost 3 wide. As you see there, the 35 going to be ducking back, but that of Nolan Hicks able to hold on for now, but almost saw that 86 be spun on the nose of GT Rosari.
Oh, close already in this opening lap here, and that's what a lot of drivers feared. But we do make it through the first one here on the second one coming off of 2. Already 2 dominant lines being formed, and the pushing and shoving has been very big already. And that's one thing I heard from a few drivers today. Very tough to push, very unstable truck when you get on the back bumper of somebody, even in the straights.
And just like traditional super speedways, it's the top 12 that are on top of one another side by side. Everyone else behind them are going to be single filing out and trying to just survive to make it to the end. And a big number to watch out for, end of lap 70. That will be our stage break for these drivers. And Zach, we were talking about fuel runs before we went live, and up front they're getting frisky because if there's a wreck here in the next 5 to 6 laps, drivers might think about making their pit stop that could potentially take them to the end of the stage.
It very well could, especially with some cautions to help. We were looking at a fuel window really around 56 to 60 laps. So with that stage at that point, we're looking with drivers, early in this race, if we get a caution, could be positioning themselves to stay out the rest of the time. And also, we always talk about tire wear, sets of tires, all that. We do have 5 sets of tires tonight, but I don't know how valuable those tires will be. You just saw Hicks. I mean, that was almost a wreck for the lead right there.
And that's the big thing that we were hearing was a big one up front could wipe out a lot of drivers. And the big thing of note on top of our stage break, there are no fast repairs. You don't have a safety net. If you get caught up in a big wreck, that could be the end of your day instantly here in the early portions.
And you definitely don't want to have that happen. As Ethan Smith up front, he decides to jump to the bottom there. Mark Whitley tries to jump up to the top in front of Hicks. Hicks checks up that outside line, but inside very quickly getting to the front as it's going to be Forbes along with breaking the 29, following Smith through.
It's the teammates, Ethan Smith, John Force, Blackjack Racing, doing practice teamwork and trying to figure out how you want to run this track. They're going to be 2-3 wide. They're really jostling now as that outside lane, ever since Mark Whitley moved up, it was complete just disbursement of no one felt comfortable or confident anymore. And now a lot of the drivers trying to single file out, recognizing, hey, we're getting a little bit too racy up front.
Yeah, I think these guys are possibly even surprised they've made it this far, so they're kind of questioning what moves should we make now that we're in this position. We thought we might be pacing already, but Whitley up front here, he almost tried to make the move there on Smith as he jumped up to the top to allow Forbes to get that lap out front there. That almost was a close moment as Whitley was thinking about shooting the gap, and that's a good decision early here in stage 1 until we get to that lap 70 stage. No reason to push it 3 wide this early and try to make a superhero play.
Speaking of pushing, that's something that we're going to be seeing a little bit here or there of drivers trying to get bumps to one another, as we see here of the Logan Breaky camera as we move up to the third car on the inside. That's 29 already. You take a check mark. He survived lap 1. Now it's to see if we can make it to the very end.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised the guys that we have up front here in these positions. Some of these guys who need some good runs, and as I say that, Logan Breaky, I think he's seen enough here, Sam. He's going to pull left. This is a common syndrome that we see. These guys they see enough, and they're like, you know what, I'm going to get out of this situation and get back here. And that's kind of what I thought Breaky's game plan would be, especially with the luck he's had. This should be all about survival for him and getting as many points to try to make that run for the playoffs.
Drivers that are on the move and up front. Saw for a quick glimpse there. The 72 of Jonathan Smith. Drivers inside of the top 10. The 72 machine is our biggest mover, up 8 positions. Biggest mover of all drivers is the 96 of Joshua Freed. But gotta say, those that are moving forward, that for seeing Smith here in the 72, he's kind of hit that stall out period of the tail end of the 2x2 train that we're seeing up front.
And he has, and it's kind of the thing. It's kind of a traffic jam. Ooh, GTR's already jumps up in front of Brandon Colley. It's kind of got to check up there in that 94 machine. And, you know, you can run up to the back of his pack and be feeling good about making moves and stuff. But once you get there, this is kind of a traffic jam. You know, we talk about Daytona and Talladega where a lot of times we'll see that third lane become an option. There is really only about you could get 4 wide here in the corners, but if you do it, it's going to be probably not a good day. I think 3 wide at most is what we'll see with people being able to make it happen, but these drivers right now are just electing to keep it 2 wide here as the traffic jam continues on.
Zach, we are now within a lap or 2 from seeing lap traffic of note. Remember, Tyler Dangler starting on pit road, but he was by himself, and with no help, the 19 is now about that of 3 to 4 seconds off for being caught from our leaders. And this is going to be the first test of those that are up front. How do you react, and how will lap traffic react to get out of the way?
Yeah, that's going to be my question. Does Tyler Dingler kind of roll over, let him go by here? Because they're going to be catching him at such a pace that he might have to elect just to do that. And the big thing for him is, you know, the next guy closest to him up ahead of him would be Kerry Trabu, who's only 5.7 seconds back from our leader. So it's not a huge gap back to 32nd, and you know, really, it's going to keep this him in that lucky dog position here if there was to be a caution. So Tyler Dingle needs to keep that in mind here and just keep his truck clean, because remember, like you said before, Sam, no fast repairs. So getting wrecked here on lap 11, lap 13, trying to be safe, starting on pit road would not be the game plan he wants to see play.
Try to stay out of the way, but now it is time, and already over the radio that Tyler Dangler reporting, I'm going to stay high, which is going to put us in the first realm of 3 wide racing up front. Here we go, lap traffic in front of our leaders. Here goes Zach. Can they hold on, or will it be too tight of a squeeze?
This is going to be the key test. Here we go, off of 4. Looks like everybody makes it so far here. Luckily on this front straightaway, like I said, super wide earlier here, but now will be the test here too, as they kind of brings it back, tightens up there on the entry, and whew, very close. Zach Wilson there in the 51, trying to hold on to that machine on the entry there, slides up the racetrack almost up into that 19, and they keep it straight here, but the old stamp up ahead in the 53 causes a checkup, and you see Tom Bourne, he's bailing out.
on board and says, I'm done, I'm out of this. As Eric Stamp says, I'll full throttle send it into this corner, which is going to be putting a little bit of stress on that of Gregory Smith. Gregory Smith, that 6, has looked very uncomfortable since the start of the race, and it's only going to get worse. Tire wear, usually something we don't talk about a lot at super speedways, but here at Atlanta, being only that 1.5 miles, so much stress on these tires. The longer the run goes on, a little bit of less grip here or there, and one simple sense of feeling loose can feel a lot worse with the longer this run goes on.
Yeah, that'll be the question, is how the balance does tend to trend. And usually at super speedways, it does usually tend to trend to the looser side with how the setups are. So this could be that factor. And I've already seen a few trucks have a few moments wiggling. So we could be looking at these trucks starting to free up a little bit. And as that track temperature, builds up with more and more trucks all stacked up on top of each other, it's only going to make that situation worse. As you can just see here, the log jam.
Oh no, Martin Morales going to be sent. The 91 going to be sent off track. Luckily doesn't hit the inside wall, but a big scare for the 91, who is one of those drivers that's been having some terrible luck in the early portions of this season. And now is going to be left on his lonesome, hoping to stay out of trouble, and now potentially won't be in the clutches of going a lap down if we stay green, which we will.
Oh, man, that is so unfortunate for Martin, and it was contact from the 21 of Kyle Rochelle there, coming off a 2. So, unfortunately, Rochelle just getting a little bit over, just not anticipating that enough and getting into the back of the 91. And Martin Morales, like you said, did a great job to save that there, kept it out the wall, but he's going to need something like we were talking about earlier. Without being in the draft, he's going to fall back quickly here into the clutches of these leaders. As we check out this 7 of Trav View, he's continued to be the last car in the very back of this long line of trucks here, Sam. I think he's playing it very, very safe here as we have him on the cam.
Yeah, keeping him safe, and it's not a bad call. Stay back here, keep yourself out of trouble, and if you're the last car in line, you easily can jab that brake, stay out of trouble, and try to get the best finish possible, because I think that's going to be the big key of tonight. Is we have never seen green flag pit stops, and if we continue to stay green like this, Zach, that could be something we start to see, which I don't think any of these drivers even thought about practicing green flag pit stops because they expected us to already be under yellow.
Oh, well, I'm going to go ahead and quote myself. I said I'd bet $1 million that these guys wouldn't make it to this stage without a yellow, and if they do that, I'm going to feel not the most confident about betting on anything later in my life. So definitely would be surprising. I know a lot of drivers were not thinking the case here, but that's the thing. A lot of times when a track is like this and they know it's going to be destruction and danger pretty much, you have a lot of drivers going to that conserve mode, and everybody's just going to wait to that last moment to use their truck, and that's when it's all going to really start to unfold.
Driver, I actually want to hop on board with our cockpit view and get a sense of what it's like to be inside of these vehicles. That's going to be the 35 of Gregory Shaw, who's in 9th place right now. Shaw, usually a driver that I always coin Mr. Aggressive. He always places himself in tough situations, but Zach, it's pretty difficult when you see this as your vision, racing on track, to really make any big moves because they feel like they're packed like sardines.
Yeah, this is what, if you were claustrophobic, you would definitely get that feeling here in this situation because, again, this track is very narrow, not wide at all. It's very, very narrow, so it makes you have not a lot of options here. You see the runs you get, but you just got to check up because where do you go with that run? You have to go through the driver ahead of you, and that's his teammate, Carl Fuller, so I know he's definitely not wanting to do that, but they're trying to make their way ahead here. And again, that gentleman's agreement of not going below that red line. Really nobody using that to pass. A few guys going below it, but not using it to pass. So it's definitely sticking with that. You can see Shaw here really loose and hold on to this truck somehow on the apron here. Man, he's got to hold on to it, though, because this pack's coming up fast behind him.
And the whole entire train of drivers behind, and holding on was that 35. Luckily, we were on screen and got to see the wheelmanship to keep that car from going back up into the field, because that could have been another incident of seeing overcorrection, which is very, a lot of these drivers have done throughout these past couple of seasons, of get loose, overcorrect, and fly right back in the rest of the field. Luckily, holding on as we hop on board and get a sense of what it's like back here with the drivers that we're on board with. And I gotta say, as we're on board with GT Rizari, this is terrifying for a lot of these drivers, mainly because it's the question of when will the big one strike. Will it be early? Haven't seen it in the first 23 laps, but Zach, it is a for sure possibility to happen at some point that we're going to see the big one.
Oh, it's around the corner. It's waiting to pop its head up at some point here. We'll just have to wait for it. That's going to be the key. I'm surprised we made it through the first 24 laps, and what I'm seeing is very fascinating, I must say. And a lot of guys, I'd imagine it's been tough to simulate this and get the practice in a run this long in a pack like this style. And what I'm seeing is these trucks are unstable, very, very loose. We saw very Shaw right on the entry losing that truck on the turn-in. And I'm seeing it from all the trucks. They're all moving around on the back ends, and that only makes the pushing and shoving a little bit more dicey. And I'll tell you what, Nolan Hicks, he's even up front getting a little bit impatient behind that 77, who I think is actually sliding around a lot too on these corners.
Sorry, exactly. Crazy moment just happened. A cluster, a handful, all of that of the Larson line hitting pit road now. Even newcomer to the Larson line, Danny Cochran, Dakota Moniz, Eric Kralik, and many others hitting pit road. Fuel or 2 tires now back out on track, but they're already going to be going at least 1 lap down, potentially 2 laps down, but they came in a cluster very quickly, and some I thought were going to get held with a penalty, and it's going to be taking off, holding on for the best. But Zach, this is an early pit stop. They can make it from here to the end, but now they're all a lap down.
Yeah, this is an interesting call. You know, you do that at Daytona because you're ahead. You know, you don't go a lap down. There's really that, it's kind of that road course mentality to run the race backwards, pit as soon as you can make it to the point you need to get to. Here's kind of different though, with how the lap times are. It's being much a mile-and-a-half racetrack. You go a lap down here, this could ruin your race. I mean, you'll most likely get the wave around with a lot of guys pitting, but still, it would put you in a situation where you're already at the back again. So it just really an interesting call from them, maybe playing it safe here, but definitely interesting also in my opinion to go with no tires, because from what I'm seeing with these balance of these race trucks, they're looking at a pretty big handful, and I was watching these guys as they pulled out on cold tires. It's not been easy. It's with Hicks getting up high there. That's going to be dangerous. He might even make it 3 wide there at the 51.
I think right now a lot of drivers trying to play nice. Just get in line. Let's just hold on. I won't make it the pass. I'm not trying to force any issues. And a lot of give is being shown. The patience, Zach, this is something that we've talked about. And honestly, it's been talked to the drivers. Admins have been telling the drivers for weeks, we have to calm down. If we want a good race and we want to stay green, we've had a lot of cautions these last couple of weeks. And it hasn't been nice to watch. And the drivers have now recognized we have to be patient. We're not even halfway. We're not even a quarter of the way to the end of this race. And they're already trying to figure out how to calm down before we get to that stage break. And also of note, Ryan Ferraro, who came in with his teammates, massive error, missed his pit box, had to back up, lost a lot of time. He potentially could be going 2 laps down when this pit cycle is done.
Yeah, you don't want to make an error like that, especially with a lot of guys already a lap down. You're not going to be getting that lucky dog. This 6 of Gregory Smith. He goes very, very loose in 3, and he's had that sensation multiple times tonight. Somehow saves it on the apron. That was close to being our first big wreck.
And he's a driver that I'm getting nervous about because he's giving a scare to the rest of the drivers and everyone else. I think they're also recognizing early parts of super speedway racing, tactical racing, is learn who you can trust. And I think everyone's now recognizing we can't trust this 6 because he looks out of shape at every possible corner here.
Yeah, he just looks very, very unstable. And, you know, a lot of times that can come from just cranking on the wheel at a speedway like this. It makes the car really want to turn. And, you know, we'll see if he can hold on to it for the continuation of this run as he runs by Ferraro, who was very under pace in the 12 machine. So that's very interesting. Now Mark Whitley back up front here runs our pole center.
I think for Ryan, it could have been a fact if he just did not want to be in the way, dropped to the apron and got out of the way quickly so that no one else had to deal with the 12 and lap traffic, as we are now 31 laps into this Atlanta race. And Zach, I don't think anyone, none of the drivers, nobody predicted that we would make it this far and still be green. There's been a couple of scares here or there, but great saves, a lot of driving, and really respectful driving that we've been seeing out here tonight.
It really has been very respectable, and then, you know, also very impressive to keep it green up to this point. I don't think anybody thought that. We've said that multiple times, and it's going to be continue to be reiterated because it's just one of those things that this is such a wild track, and the concept of it is it's the first of its kind. I mean, there's nothing else like this, so it's kind of a beast in itself. So the racing's been good up front. These guys have kept it 2 wides, racing the whole entire time, changing these leads back and forth as Forbes and his teammate Smith work together as GT gives that great push to the 77. And this is one thing I thought would continue as the run goes on. That top side gets better and better, in my opinion, just due to the tire wear.
Oh, but they got to be careful because GT is already getting very loose and almost just trailing that whole entire outside lane to the outside wall. So they got to be careful there. But over the radio, just 2 laps ago, John Forbes said it's getting looser. So these drivers starting to recognize older tires. It's getting a very loose sensation. But Zach, we also were hearing from drivers, the drivers that are leading these packs and those that are in traffic, very different sensations that they're feeling at the same time, though.
Oh, completely different. If you're a driver out front, like John Forbes, Mark Whitley leading your line, your truck's going to handle completely different. You're going to have all that downforce and clean air right on the nose of that truck, and it's going to be really planting the front tires and causing that loose sensation that John Forbes is really speaking about. Now, guys, farther back in this pack, they're going to be in turbulent, disturbed air, where the truck's going to have a lot of tightness. It's going to not want to turn. There's going to be no air really flowing on that nose, and it's going to be mostly just dirty air. As we look back at Cedric Hunter, looks like big run for him here as he goes by a few people, but definitely different characteristics as you go make it through the pack and get to the front at one point.
Interesting calls being shown on screen. You see it on our ticker. A lot of drivers up front still in this massive pack, but this is the group that's further back that's being led by that John McAdams. I gotta say, keeping it smooth, keeping it out of trouble, but also very far off from our leaders. 6.2 seconds off from our leaders. And there's a massive gap between that of 4th to 17th, 14th, excuse me, to 17th because of the fact of the 6 of that of Gregory Smith. I think might have scared that group a little bit too much and forced those drivers to back off.
Yeah, I think they saw the loose condition of a lot of these guys, and they're like, oh, we need to get back behind this pack. And now they're considerably far back, like you said, about 6 seconds back now, being led by McAdams from our leader of John Forbes. But they can't let that foresight and get that feeling of, oh man, we need to go faster. We got to catch back up. There's no way we'll get back into this race, because you have that stage coming up at 70. So you got to keep that in your mind. Stay safe. Keep it back here. If this is your game plan and riding out back, stick to your game plan and don't try to do anything different, because this race could very well get at any moment. That big one, like we said, is just waiting to pop up. So if you feel like you want to be safe here early in this race, you need to keep yourself back.
Again, a reminder to the audience, stage break at the end of lap 70, but if there's a caution at lap 65, or between 65 and 70, that will count as our stage break if a caution lies between those laps. But if we stay green, these drivers up inside of our top 26 still need to pit. That's another big thing for them, is when do you go into pit road, or you continue to stay safe where you're at right now.
That is going to be the question, because it's going to be looming. I mean, those pit stops could be happening at any point. We've already seen that first group of drivers really hit pit road and decide to get their pit stops done early. Now we're going to see what this group up ahead does. Like we said, we feel like they can go about 56 to 60 laps here. Definitely differentiating where you're at in the pack and how much you're having to lift. But we'll see when that pit window starts to open up. Do they come right at the last second and try to wait the longest possible here, not to go a lap down? That'll be possibly what's on the mind of a lot of people here.
These drivers right now, you are watching the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name's Sam Tyner, with me is Zach Allrock Warrior in the production booth, giving you all the cameras and graphics here tonight. This is Season 3, race number 7. The halfway marker of the regular season is on. For a lot of these drivers, they're recognizing they have to be consistent, and this is the race that could change everything. For some, this is the race that if you win, you could be locked into the playoffs immediately, and the pressure could be off, because we've got a lot of tough tracks coming up after this. We got Las Vegas, Texas, and then a string of short tracks after that.
Yeah, don't get me started on Las Vegas. We know how wild that place can be. It can definitely be a crapshoot in itself. So we'll have to see how throughout the next weeks it works out. But like you said, the big thing that a lot of drivers got to get through their head here tonight, they might not like this style racing. They may not like this track. Ooh.
Sorry to cut you off, Zach, but right now, lap traffic, Kerry Tribune stays low. Everyone has to go high on the 7, and what a chaotic move for a driver that now goes 2 laps down, back in 32nd position, and almost caused the big one.
Yeah, now checking up the inside again. He was on that apron there for a little bit and looked like he was going to let the field by, and then kind of elected to pull back in the line. Now Hicks going to dive below that red line here, and this is where it's going to get a little dicey.
He's going to go on the apron again. That is free game. It was a gentleman's agreement saying let's not go down there. But right now the 7 causing some chaos in the middle of this lead pack. But up front, still being led by that Mark Whitley and John Forbes.
Yeah, definitely not making a fan of a few drivers out there. I'm sure definitely having frustrations with that. But Travis saying, man, I got to stay in this pack to stay up in it. But, it's definitely stacking up more and more as this run goes on. The tire wear is really affecting these drivers. And this run continues on, Sam. I tell you, it's going to be wild to see who can make it through. But you got to keep it in mind. This may be their shot. There he goes around.
It's going to be Nolan Hicks. He keeps it straight, comes back down right into Collie. He'll hold on, keep it straight for now. We stay green, but multiple drivers hating to see that contact, and now the caution will fly as that of Collie comes to a halt down on the apron.
Oh, man, too much there for Hicks to hang on to that truck, and just looks like maybe a little bit of contact possibly from the 72, Jonathan Smith maybe, but man, oh man, hopefully we can see on this replay exactly what played out there, man. That is a tough ordeal, but farther than we thought we'd get, I think.
Absolutely. Much farther than we were expecting. I think easily could have been a lot quicker as you see the contact with that Jonathan Smith trying to hold on. Carl Pooler just gets a little bit of a scrape, and then you think maybe he can hold on, but then just gets out of control again, and poor Brandon Collie, who'd been trying to stay out of trouble for the early going, and again, the 94 caught up with trouble here tonight.
Man, oh man, yeah, that's not what you want to see when you're just trying to ride out back and miss the stuff in that lead pack, but that shows you at any point, you're not safe at any point in this race, so tough break for a few drivers, but no required repairs, Sam, here for anybody, so we'll see how they can get their trucks fixed up, and, doesn't look terrible for a lot of these guys who were involved in that, so it could have been a lot worse.
And now it comes in the fields, comes in to get fuel, potentially tires. I'd imagine a lot of them going to be taking tires, but now this puts those that came into pit road early from that Larson line, they're going to take the wave around, but now they can't pit for fresh tires, and they're going to be stuck with the wear and tear that they've got, and they'll be at the end of the line.
Yeah, again, that's why I just was kind of questioning that strategy. It's going to work out in the end of the day because they're going to all be together here, get the wave around, be at the back of the pack, and be in a safe spot possibly. But, man, definitely was kind of caught off guard with that strategy. It's what we do at Super Speedway, so maybe that's where they were thinking that was the game plan. But with how short this track is, it's so tough, to stay on that lead lap. And when the caution is around, getting ready to come out at any point, you know that being a lap down is not a good thing.
Few drivers going to get some extended repairs. A few drivers had brushed the wall or had contact with other drivers. That's going to be Cedric Hunter, Nick Crawford, Gregory Smith, as well as Christopher Norris going to be deciding to stay further back and just getting back out on track. Still in pit road getting repairs done. Nolan Hicks and Brandon Collie were caught up in that last wreck, as well as Mark Morales Jr., who had a spill in the early portions of those first 20 laps, but then was able to stay on the lead lap before that yellow came out. And the 91 will be back out on track for themselves. As drivers that are still a lap down, going to be Tyler Dangler, Kerry Trippieu, and that of Ryan Ferraro, as Tyler Dangler was forced to come into pit road, and so will not be able to take the wave around to get onto the lead lap. But Zach, first caution, lap 47. Now we get to see how well do some of these drivers up front going to be taking off, because our front three did not take 4 tires. They just went for fuel, potentially only 2 tires for themselves.
Yeah, that's a risky call from what we've seen with these trucks so far. They've been pretty wicked loose, and I can tell you, by putting fuel into the truck, you're just weighing down that rear end, lowering also that rear end a little bit too, taking the spoiler out of there, and also putting a little bit more weight on those rear tires. That is going to, in turn, make that truck a little bit more free, so it's going to want to turn a little bit more. So if they were already feeling a little bit loose from the 11 truck of John Forbes, not putting tires on and adding fuel to that truck is only going to make that condition possibly worse. So watch out here, folks. It could get a little bit squirrely, especially with some heat cycle tires.
And also, wheel spin, going to be another factor to watch out for on this restart. It's going to be John Forbes, Ethan Smith, Gregory Shaw, Mark Whitley, Zach Wilson, GT Rosari, Tom Bourne, Anthony Gaudio, Carl Pooler, and that of Joshua Freed. Going to be your top 10 ready to get rolling here tonight. Get stage break at the end of lap 70. So we still got a little bit of racing to go before we get to that stage break point and to halfway. That's the goal, is to see who can make it to the stage. Then it's see who can make it to the end of the race as green flag is out and already showing a little squirreliness from that 11 and 00.
Yeah, you alluded to it, that those tires, and right there just not getting going in the zone. And Mark Whitley was able to really get right to the back bumper. Let's see how it works out once they get up to speed, though, heading down the 3 here as they head down the back straightaway.
Our front 4 going to be on top of one another, technically front 7 right now. Everyone else backing off and not giving any worrisome about racing hard. I think all of them are recognizing, let's just make it to the stage break. Tom Bourne's going to be in 8th, see Carl Pooler, as well as Kyle Rochelle going to be in the mix here. But honestly, up front, where it's getting a little bit more squirrely, as John Forbes drops down right in front of his teammate. And it's going to be that of Mark Whitley trying to figure out how to make this outside line work with fresh tires.
Yeah, how are you going to make this work here? We'll see how much of a difference fresh tires make and how much of a difference old tires make. So we'll see here they're going as those 2 ordered sets of tires are on the bottom lane, as Whitley has the help of GT Irizarry in the 14 up top. It's going to be stacking up here and, you know, coming sooner or closer and closer to that stage, more drivers are going to be pushing for those points.
I'm curious also, because we got a lot of drivers up front that are known in their patterns of being very aggressive, either in blocking or making very aggressive moves that sometimes look reckless at moments. You got GT Irizarry, Anthony Gaudio, Ethan Smith, all drivers that we've seen be very aggressive around one another and being up front with our pack now closing back in with one another side by side. It is now 20 laps to go. How are they going to survive until the end of this stage?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question for sure here heading into these final laps of this stage. And right now, Whitley, he's kind of flirting with disaster there as he was in the middle of the lane there as the big run comes from that bottom lane to the back bumper of John Forbes to that, from that 00 as they head down the back straightaway. But right now, those older tires still firing off pretty well. So showing right now that it's not too big of a difference, but it definitely, I think, can add to the stability and the maneuverability of your truck.
I think for John Forbes, at least he's been up front. He's been figuring out how these, that loose sensation's been kicking in and out throughout this run. Same can be said for that of Mark Whitley. Both drivers have been leading the inside and outside groove. GT Rosari not giving up. He's staying, pushing that 77. Now we'll duck it down low. Try and take the lead back in for Mark Whitley. Huge gap, and now the 14 taking the lead and wanting to lead this lap for himself.
What a move from GT up front. And he gets a little bump from the 77 of Whitley, who has to back out of it. Now that's going to cause a little bit of a stack up there. He slides back in front of Gaudio. But Irizarry leading that lap there. But it could have been the last lap he led there because, man, that was almost being turned in front of the field.
That's the big thing of how are these bumps also going to react with drivers. If you hit them square, there's a possibility that they could still even be spun out, or it could be spinning yourself out. So it is a risk. Oh no, Gregory Shaw holds on, drifting, and whoo, another scary moment for our drivers in around that 10th place position.
We've seen that a lot tonight. Some great saves from the drivers out there and just showing quick hands and being able to stay on top of their equipment here. As you see Zach Wilson in that bottom right corner, he's working his way up here in the 51 as you get to see the shot of him coming off of turn 2. He's running right down that 7th spot, and you can just see how stacked up it is in front of him in this group.
He's got a little bit of space on his inside and outside, so he's got some time to think about where he wants to go. And as I say that, though, Carl Pooler now going to sneak up to the inner groove of the 51 as we run on board and see what the high line is like. A little bit of a higher viewpoint, so we can see what's slightly in front of the 51 machine. But Zach, the trusting, that is the big thing about tonight. Trust in your drivers around you, which sometimes in racing is the most impossible thing to think about.
Oh, no doubt. Sometimes, especially with drivers, you have relationships throughout the season. You learn who does what, and you get around them and you get a little bit worried because, they're going to make something big happening up front. It's real big happening. It's 3 wide as Whitley took it to the outside of Irizarry. Now Forbes is going to have the shot here on the bottom.
Going to continue to stay 3 wide because Mark Whitley's got no help. He's got no friends, and he's going backwards. They still stay stacked up. It's now going to be 3 wide for that at 4th place. Who's going to be making the surge? Who can help the 77? It looks like nobody. Mark Whitley went from leading that outside lane for the majority of this run, now faltering back to that at 6th. They're side by side for 5th place. They're hoping to hold on, but each time, every corner, you're hoping that there's a little bit of trust, a little bit more space to work with, as they're still 3 wide and potentially might be moving even further up. Tom Bourne almost making contact with the 77.
Yeah, this is where it's tough to stay in your lane and not wash up into that truck on the outside of you. But Tom Bourne doing a good job. And Whitley luckily getting in position there, as that was so close. The only thing you could fit in there was a truck. So Tom Bourne got that in there. But, man, I tell you, Whitley was the first one to attempt to go 3 wide there off the outside line. And, there's already up front. He gets into the wall. This is going to cause a checkup and now be 3 wide with him up top.
And now we get to see how the 14 is going to react. Will he just drop back quickly, or will he try to hold on for every position? The big difference is the momentum loss of brushing the outside wall. The 14, he's been flirting with it, and now it's pit back, and the 14 finally finds a little bit of space, but he's got to be careful as that of Zach Wilson drops in front of the 14, and now he'll go down low and flip-flop do-si-do, and let's try it again as we're 2 by 2 all the way through.
Yeah, some aggressive driving here, and very close moments there with Irizarry getting into that wall. Luckily for himself, getting down to that bottom lane, but definitely losing on a lot of spots. And now the question is, how do you work yourself back into position? Because that's the one thing I've seen. It is tough to pass. You get up front here, and you can kind of control this race, and that's what Forbes and Smith have done since the drop of the green flag, along with Whitley, who really made a mistake there going up top 3 wide. Now that's put him back to the 3rd truck on the outside lane, but now Gaudio fighting strong in this 3 machine.
I think Gaudio's going to be having the help of Tom Bourne that we're right on board with the 16. Driver that's hoping to find a little bit more luck here tonight. Kind of in a similar state with Logan Breaky, where they've had a lot of speed but haven't been able to finish as strongly as they would have liked. Tom Bourne running in 3rd place. Here comes the surge, but instead of John Forbes really starting to feel the hurt from those tires. He's not able to hold off on that red line as well as he was 50 to that of 40 laps ago.
Yeah, I think Ethan Smith's struggling a little bit too there also to hold the lane. That top lane's so stacked up. The energy's all going through each truck all the way up to Anthony Gaudio. You can see it's really pushing that 3 back and forth as he takes that lead. He's going to look to drop to the bottom, but now, look at this. He looks like he's going to want to jump up back up top, and now that's going to push Bourne up to the very top of the track, but Whitley's going to leave him out to dry, I think.
Bourne going to be stuck on the outside. I think a lot of the drivers are recognizing if you're going to go 3 wide, ditch the one in the highest lane, because if you put someone in the middle, that's putting more risk for the rest of the field. And poor Tom Bourne, I mean, he certainly was looking quick, and just because of a poor, oh shoot, Shaw, whoo, don't want to be making contact like that. That quad oval has been so dangerous for the 35, and now going to be seeing 72 bump up to Tom Bourne. They are still scrapping at this moment, and they're around that 10th place position as Tom Bourne continues to find no place to drop down. But Zach, I think that's the big thing for these drivers is if you make a move, Gaudio is lucky that Tom Bourne didn't just turn that 3 machine.
Oh, it's so lucky, man, because it's one of those things where if you just touch somebody in the wrong spot, it's so easy to wreck. And right now, this stack up here is really keeping together as Bourne has been able to stay side by side with the 72 and the 51 for continuous laps here. And this is a train of cars on the bottom. Right now, Tom Bourne probably just trying to hold on to what he can, but man, oh man, this is showing a lot to be a lot more aggression. So we're coming to 7 to go to stages. Oh, no. I think somebody's going around.
Yep, that's Shaw. Gregory Shaw flipping and tumbling, and gone is the 35 as he's still flopping around on the inside lane. And 3 wide showed that it could not hold for any longer as the 35 is going to have to take a tow. Tom Bourne takes a tow, and our first unlucky victims are now out of this thing.
And oh man. First decent sized wreck of the night here as you get 2 cars and really big hits for those 2 cars. When we see the incident here, as you see this replay, and look at this 35 just loose. Very, very loose in the middle. Loses that truck. The 72 backs out of it. Luckily for Jonathan Smith, look at this great job of him backing out of it, but nowhere to go for Tom Bourne. I mean, that's just impossible to go anywhere from that. And then from there, it's pretty much a launch from there.
I mean, they both. I mean, it's like Tom Bourne hit a ramp, and then the ramp of the 16 was great for the 35, who saw McAdams drive over, I mean, under the 35 machine, and everyone else scattering to figure out how to get by. And the Cedric Hunter just scheming without making any contact. But, I mean, Zach, we knew this was going to happen, but a worst-case scenario could have been asked to the field because they have been notified that does not count as our stage break. We are going to go back to a shootout here.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna bring up. Was get another quick shot of this this incident here. Yeah, this is not gonna be the end of the stage here. Lap 63 is when that came out, so we're gonna have another restart here, man. And whoo, I'm telling you what, this is gonna be a wild one, folks, because the runs and the momentum really don't get built up till about that second lap. So it's really only be a 1 to 2 lap shootout here on this restart, maybe even 3. So we're going to have some pretty interesting attempts here to make some passes.
Who is going to be in our top 10? That is the question. Who's going to be able to get that Larry Arts production stage break victory? Well, for us here tonight, I want to give thanks to some of our amazing sponsors we have at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You see them on our top left. That is iRacing iFlag. iRacing iFlag, the best iFlag virtual flag system. They give you clear indications of what the flag state is like on track, as well. You got enough iRacing iFlags, they can be your spotter system. Let you know when you got drivers on your left, on your right. And that's certainly what the drivers on track need. And if we stay green, hey, they might want this as well. That's the digital pit board. And give you how many laps of fuel you have remaining, as well as what you've been utilizing and using fuel for the last 5 laps. So much great information, so many great products. And if you go use our discount code FreakyFast2022, you can go get your purchases with a little bit of a discount at iRacingIFlag.com. As we're just getting stacked up and ready to go, Zach, I mean, a little bit of a shootout here. This is going to be tricky, but it's certainly going to be a blast to see a 4-lap shootout when we go green.
Yeah, this is going to be wild, man. I'm telling you, right here is the unknown of who's going to make what decision to try to go win this stage. I mean, some drivers need points. They are desperate for points, and they want to make those points up to try to make it to those playoffs here later in the season. And this could be their shot to get those valuable points that, you know, coming down to the end of it, you may be only 3 to 2 points out of making the playoffs. So I tell you what, this could be the points you need right here. I think we're going to see some drivers, as they say, lick the stamp and send it.
Top 10 only drivers that get those bonus points, and some of our biggest movers right now in 9th and 10th place. Isaac Shelley up 20 positions, Joshua Freed up 20 positions, and also Kyle Rochelle up 19. It's going to be our top 10. John Forbes, Anthony Gaudio, Ethan Smith, Mark Whitley, as well as Carl Pooler, Kyle Rochelle, Jonathan Smith, Zach Wilson, Isaac Shelley, and Joshua Freed all ready to see if they can hold on and stay in the bonus points. It's a 4-lap shootout. We either make it through these 4 laps and then we get the yellow, or we'll get a caution, and that's it. We're green once again, and it's going to be a little bit of wheel spin on that high side. Ethan Smith not getting the launch that he wanted, and it's going to be actually seeing that at the 11 gone. And Zach, this is not what you want if you're the leader being this far ahead.
Oh man, Forbes better be watching that mirror, because these guys are going to be coming with about a 10-mile-an-hour difference of a run here. He's moving all over the place, not allowing him to get the draft, but he's going to have no power here. So they're going to power him. That's how.
Outside is going to be that of Mark Whitley and Anthony Gaudio, but luckily for the 11, he's got his teammate of Ethan Smith. These two have been up front teammates and working together from the start of the green, and they continue to hold off. And the power of the inside, able to stay side by side with Mark Whitley as Anthony Gaudio, going to defend both lanes, moves up, hopes that he's going to have the push, as it's going to be 3 laps to go in our stage 1. Now, the 3, hold on, don't get a bump because he is loose, and here comes the 21 of Kyle Rochelle.
Kyle Rochelle in that highlighter machine, dude. You ain't going to miss that 21. He's bright, and you can see that thing, no doubt, as he's driven his way up into this mix here. But again, like you said, that 3 super loose with the push from 77. With the teammates on the bottom, who's going to win it out with the top side with the run here?
Here we go, it's the mad dash, 2 laps to go. At the end of lap 70 will be our stage break unless we get a yellow on this lap. It's all go. John Forbes hoping that he can get the win here for the Lariat production stage break, but it's going to be side by side. The massive push, the surge, the outside lane. They got 5 trucks in line, and they're making it work for now as the 3 has a nose ahead of the 11 as they come through the exit of the corner. Here we go, Zach. It's going to be 1 lap here until our stage break yellow.
Yeah, 1 more lap to see who's going to win this stage. Anthony Gaudio right there leading that one. It's going to be Forbes and Smith on the bottom. What do they have to formulate? And can Mark Whitley push him out far enough to try to make a move? That's going to be the question, or does he try to make something happen? Oh, Gaudio loose here off the back straightaway.
He's going to be loose, but holds on. They're going to be in line, keeping it steady, just enough space for them to make it through. But this is going to be the last surge. Will the 11 have it? They're going to be side by side, almost making contact. The 3 has to drift up just slightly, but at turn number 4, coming to the stage break. They got to race until that yellow flag comes out, so they keep on dashing. They're hoping to back off, and the yellow flag finally flies. As you saw there, diving it down low onto the apron was that of Isaac Shelley, just trying to grab every little bit. But it's Anthony Gaudio in the 3 winning at our stage break.
Man, what a wild ending there, and that's setting up to show you what we could possibly have at the end of this race, man. So congrats to Anthony Gaudio and also Jason Tamer there coming home with that 1 point there in that 10th position.
It was an awesome run to see, but here is our top 10 at our stage break. Again, sponsored by Larry Art Productions. Go check out some great variety of entertainment videos on YouTube, Larry Art Productions. It's going to be Anthony Gaudio winning here. 2nd goes to John Forbes. Mark Whitley gets 3rd. Ethan Smith gets 4th. Kyle Rochelle 5th. 6th goes to Zach Wilson. Isaac Shelley 7th. Jonathan Smith gets 8th. Carl Pooler 9th. And 10th goes to that of Jason Tamer. As we will be right back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go side by side. We need a little bit of a breather. The drivers are getting their breather now. And now it's time to see from this point on. We are going to be back to green flag racing at the halfway marker. You got to see a fantastic 70 laps here at Atlanta for the Logan-led 225. We'll be back here for more ISRC racing action here in just a few moments. They're wrecking, they're splitting, and it's a complete mayhem.
We have a wreck at the front. 19 goes down into the 7, takes out the 00.
They're 5 wide behind for 5th. Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work, is it? They're already wrecking into turn 1, and now coming through that of turn 2. This is it, the Daytona. Oh no, the wrecking contact. Sets gets into the wall. Gonna be scattering on the outside. Drivers on the apron. Drivers coming out of nowhere. Edison on the outside trying to get the win. And it's William Edison stealing it at the line.
Into the wall. The 18 trying to block. 77 getting to the 18. That leaves 3 of TJ Roberts. 17 to Gavin Rogers. 3 of TJ Roberts is gonna steal the win here.
He went second fiddle so many times last season. Christopher Wade wins the season 5 Daytona 200. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaking Fast Broadcasting, and the madness already is back underway. Restart is here, and it is go time for some drivers to drop to the apron. Others are going straight to the lead. John Forbes says, I'll do this myself, as he is up front. And right now, it's chaos, because we're seeing some drivers be aggressive, like our front two, and then you've got others that are started up front, but being so passive. And right now, I'm scared, nervous, and luckily I've got a partner with me. I've got Zach Hall up in the booth with me, as well as Robert Moyer. My name's Sam Dyer, and we get to see the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. And Zach, already a little nerve-wracking up front to start this next session of the race. There's no more stage breaks from here on out. It's all about victory lane.
Well, I tell you, Sam, you talked about being nervous. My heart's pounded. I don't know if it's the racing going on out here in this wild racetrack or the 2 cups of coffee I drank before this race, because, man, it's been to this point aggression shown from a lot of drivers, but like you said, you saw it from Trenton Jump there on the outside of 46. It seemed like Trenton Jump kind of just rolled over for everybody and just let him go by, and now kind of falling back here. And it definitely does take a certain type of aggression to get around this track and just hold that throttle down and make those big moves.
And what in the world is going on? This is looking like an actual traditional super speedway race. Our whole entire front, that of 8 drivers in line, following one another on the low end, and not a lot of action on the high side except for this group, a Trenton Jump, that of GT Rosari, Anthony Gaudio. Now they're going to have that Jason Tamer thinking about helping up on that higher lane, but no one is working with one another. It's all stay low, survive, and hope that you can make it to the end, or at least until our next pit stop.
Yeah, and the question I have is, a lot of guys in this race had the plan, stay out back, play it out safe. There's going to be like barely any trucks left at the end of this race. My question is, when does that switch turn off for a few of those guys? Is it still too early? Because, you could play into the game where, oh man, that stage, we went really green for a long time there and, really only had about 2 wrecks during it. But, if you play into that, that's when that incident will happen and you'll get caught up and you'll say, man, why did I waste all my time in the back anyways? As soon as I pushed, I got in a wreck. So it's one of those questions of the waiting game of when you want to go as a driver back there in this middle of the pack. But the question always looms of when the big wreck is going to happen, because we're not over with wrecking yet just because we've had a clean race so far.
Oh, absolutely not. It's the 81, and Tamer moves up in front of Shelley. Also, you see that in the 96 of Free. They're starting to see a lot of movement in front of them for that high lane. Starting to get a lot more drivers in line, and the movement is significant. Jonathan Smith has now climbed from that of 8th place up to 4th, and he's got to be careful because almost contact with the 6, battling for 4th place. And there's the wiggle, there's the scat. They're going to be up front into the outside wall. Woo! Somehow, Zach, that is a safe moment, but I think you just saw there the 46 said, I'm out of here. I'm not racing with y'all up front. You're terrifying me right now.
Yeah, he just said eject Nocito because he's out of there. He is not liking that situation one bit at all. As the 6 washed up the racetrack into him. And I got to give credit to Jonathan Smith and Trenton Jump there. What great driving those drivers just displayed there to get hit in the corner and both hang on to it, check up along with Gaudio. He checked up for him. Just an excellent job here as we check out our driver cam with this 71 of Carl Pooler, who's been right up in the mix here pretty much all the night, right around that top 10.
Yeah, but Carl Pooler, one of our drivers that's really been trying to just stay low. It's kind of been his MO all night long. Stay low, just follow who's in front of me. Hope that other drivers will try to go for passes, which gives me free positions, and I'll slowly make my march forward. He did have a little bit of help behind him with Gregory Shaw and a couple of other of his teammates from Limitless, but I think at this moment, Carl Pooler's starting to react. You also see smiles, a lot of communication, and I think that's what's needed here at Atlanta. Time it perfectly with your teammates and those around on how you want to attack, but they're going to be 3 wide in front of them. Smith, contact, there they go in front of Carl Pooler, and frustration now going to be thrown up as the 71 up in the outside wall. The big one strikes.
Oh, it definitely does, and hopefully more don't pile in. Good job at most drivers there slowing on down. But that was going to happen at some point there. 3 wide racing, and 4th caution of the night, Sam. A big one there, though. That's the first real big wreck we've had other than just 2 trucks involved. So first big one of the night, and we were riding on board there with Carl Pooler.
Yeah, we were riding with Carl Pooler. Jonathan Smith going to be seen here with GT Rosari. Real kind of confusion on where you want to place your truck, it seemed like, by the 72. Thought there was space. There wasn't. And just like that, that one bump sends them going. Irizarry goes up. Zach Wilson nowhere to go. You see Carl Pooler about to be collected into this thing. but it's one of those wrecks where, again, just lack of awareness, not the spotter giving a wrong cue, and the 72 drops down when there's no space.
Yeah, just not clear there. So definitely maybe the wrong call from the spotter side of the deal there for him is well, just unfortunate, especially for GTR's already just kind of minding his business there, riding, holding his line, and a car just pulls down in front of you like that. And you got guys like Carl Puller who were just caught up in that also, just innocent bystanders just from a little lapse of judgment there from Jonathan Smith. So we'll have to watch as they come to pit road here and try to get some service done on their trucks and get them all stacked up. Man, the more and more we have these incidents, I think the more and more the aggression level is going to go up. And I think we've seen that here with 3 wide already being kind of prevalent here in really the last 50 laps.
Also, another thing that's going to be even more curious to watch is the tire difference. So about half the field decided to come into pit road. The other quarter decided to stay out. And then there's a decent margin of drivers that have been involved in wrecks, either have called it a night early or are in pit road trying to get their repairs done as fast as possible. But tonight, going to be a revolving door from this point on who's going to be on the freshest tires, having the most grip, and those that are on old tires and are going to be worrisome on these restarts, which is going to be our front about that of 9 that are in that concern spot on how well they're going to be.
Ooh, this is getting into the portion of the race where everybody's going to start to shove a little bit more, make a little bit more decisions to try to get up front. And like I said, those drivers are out back, trying to bide their time, how long before they decide to go. And they just seen that incident that might put them back in their turtle shell, as they would say. They'll be looking to hide from any little bit of danger. So we might see a little bit of less aggression here to start off this run, but as that run goes on and the laps tick away, I think you've seen so far, I mean, especially from Whitley and Forbes, they have kind of lived off the aggression. They've really made it work and been able to get out front and stay clean because of that.
But we still haven't seen some other drivers that are further on back that we know can be aggressive when the time comes. Danny Cochran, he's been staying back, practically last of most of the drivers further on back. You also have Trenton Jump and that whole entire team from that of the Colored Teal Graphics crew. They haven't decided to really make their surge forward. Yes, they started up front on that last restart after a stage break, but Zach, they kind of went limp immediately and decided we're not even going to try to attest this. We just wanted the lap led, and now we'll just linger in the back. We also haven't seen Dakota Moniz, who's self-proclaimed one of the best speedway drivers in this series. We'll see if the 5 can prove it here tonight. I'm just looking at the drivers that are up front. These are usually the drivers that are battling so hard for a top 20 finish. We still haven't seen a lot of the drivers that battle up front in the top 10 week in and week out.
Yeah, we really haven't. A lot of them guys have been back here trying to stay out of trouble. So definitely one of those things where we could have a winner where, this may be one of their only shots, as they would say. So we'll see how they get it done. And, even Tyler Dingler, got to give him huge credit for getting back on the lead lap. I mean, he started from pit road, and with these couple cautions here, stage break and all, he's been able to get himself back up there and in the 6th spot.
Trying to get set up, ready to go. We got 29 drivers on the lead lap. We've lost 3. Zach Wilson, Tom Warren, Gregory Shaw. They all parked it. They're done. Carl Puller's in pit road getting service as we are back to green flag racing here for the Logan's Lead 225 for the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. It's going to be seeing the teammates. That from Blackjack Racing, John Forbes, Ethan Smith, immediately going to be up front. But you see deeper back, the 19, Tyler Dangler says, I'll stay high. You guys can go on ahead.
Yeah, playing it safe there, going up high, letting these guys go by. And there goes Hicks looking to the inside. You got Fonseca there in the 24. Looks like he's kind of slowly dropping his way back there, trying to stay out of trouble. But, yeah, from this restart here, I can see a lot of space being shown from really that 5th position on the back as those first 5 drivers there stacked up on top of each other, but everybody else trying to give space.
And with some of the drivers that have been wrecked out of this race and a lot more space, and you see the 4 dropping back, but up front, 2 of our biggest movers of the night. Freed, Isaac Shelley, 5th, 6th currently on the board, but Zach there just in the wings of trying to battle out for the lead.
Yeah, they really are right there on top of that lead, and Mark Whitley on the bottom lane trying to fight the teammates up top of the 00 in that 11 machine as they come off a 4. And man, these trucks, they have a lot of movement in the corners, and that's it's just telling me that these guys are actually having to really fight this truck here at this speedway. And that's the one thing, it being a 1.5-mile racetrack instead of a 2.5-mile racetrack, it's a lot more tough, not only on the equipment, but it is you as a driver with how fast this 1.5 miles can be.
And also a few more drivers that we've seen periodically up front struggle with the lack of grip that they've been feeling. The 6 of Gregory Smith, as well as Nolan Hicks, coming inside of our top 10, still trying to run as hard as they can currently. But Zach, while we're riding on board with that Joshua Freed, you can just tell the squeezing action. That quad oval, we usually say tri-oval, but it's a quad oval for the front stretch. Really, there's 2 to 3 different spots where things can go bad really quick, as well as later on in this race when we expect that gentleman's agreement of stay above the red line to be thrown out the window in those final 10 to 15 laps. There is some massive bumps these drivers are going to have to deal with.
Yeah, it's coming at some point, no doubt for sure, as the aggression level picks up. And the gentleman agreed that red line, but it's going to be used here at some point as see Nick Crawford continue to drop back in the floor, and he's been our winner from last week at Bristol, and he's looking like he wants to stay back here and stay out of trouble as his teammate Cedric Hunter goes by. I tell you, that group in the back, they're kind of stacked up for trying to get to the back, so they got to be careful not only back there, but with this race.
As we see there on screen, gonna be that Nick Crawford still has the Meerkats, as well as having some other visitors trying to distract him. And distractions that helped him get to victory lane last week in Bristol, hoping that he can figure out a way to get back there. But right now, really going conservative and saying, let's just survive at the moment.
Yeah, definitely trying to survive is the Meerkat man there, Nick Crawford, trying to keep his cool there with this Ford machine and try to drop to the very, very back of this field. So, man, oh man, with 93 laps into this, Sam, I'm just surprised this many trucks are still in the lead lap. 28 of them in on the 33. That is so impressive from this truck series and not something a lot of people would be betting on.
No, not at all. And we can add another driver going to the race car graveyard. That's going to be GT Irizarry. He is now going to be parking it and done for the 14 machine that was caught up in that last incident. And up front, still the side-by-side action, but a little bit of difference on who's going to be battling with Mark Whitley. It's still the teammates that are in line on the high side, but Zach, really, Mark Whitley's been having a revolving door of who can he trust behind him.
Yeah, this has been the revolving door, no doubt for sure. It's just, I mean, Forbes and Whitley just have been having a lot of control along with Ethan Smith, and I'm not surprised. That group there is the drivers that I thought would kind of be the drivers to elect to stay up front most of the night and try to make this race, by staying out in that lead position and making that work. But, oh, man, this 77 slides on the racetrack now as he's going to get up in front of him. Free there, now going to have that open lane on the bottom side in the 96. Does he try to get to the lead here with the help of Hicks?
Trying and hoping to find any type of window at the moment. Will he get the push? Does it look like it's going to be there? As right now, it is all on with Mark Whitley defending off the Blackjack Racers on the outside. But how much faster could they be if they get just one more Blackjack Racer with them? Which that's where we find Cody Reed back in 12th place at 25. Been playing patient. It seems like he might be thinking about getting a little bit faster, but at the same time, Zach, as our front runners start to slice and dice, the 11 down goes down low for the lead. We still have one more pit stop still to go here tonight. We're not done just yet.
Whoa, big moment. There's 3 wide off the exit of 2 Freed on the bottom, Whitley in the middle, and Forbes up top. Let's see how this plays out.
One of the drivers that really is his chance to go for a win. You get a win, you can be locked into the playoffs, and it's Joshua Freed going for the push, the pressure, but watch out for Mark Whitley coming on down, trying to just squeeze the 96, let him back off the throttle, but Nolan Hicks is caught up. Freed keeps it side by side with Mark Whitley.
Oh, man, side-by-side action here is Freed leading some laps here. Loving that out front. There's that 96. He's got the help of Hicks, but that 77 with the help of Forbes able to pull ahead here is, man, I tell you what, Freed here trying to get aggressive and lead as many laps as possible as we come off of 4. I think that outside line, once again, the energy is going to be up there as the 11 tucked up behind the bumper of the 77.
I mean, Joshua Freed, you think about speedway racing. He started the season off at Daytona, coming out of turn 4. He was side by side with Tom Bourne. Thought they were going to win, but they were collected just that of 400 feet away from the start-finish line. now here tonight, another opportunity to go to victory lane is the 96. It comes in 18th in points. And Zach, that's right inside the bubble. You got to be in the top 20 if you've got to win for that win to count if you're going to the playoffs. So this is the run for Freed if he's going to go for a playoff push.
Yeah, this is his chance. Like he said there, this is going to be that one chance. So maybe one of the only ones he'll get this season to maybe possibly win. And he's going to try to do everything in his power. Look at Gregory Smith coming back up here in the 6-2. He's a driver possibly looking to put himself in victory lane here and at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And Hicks last week, you got to remember Bristol, so close to a victory, just coming up short in second. He's came close here now, and he's tasted victory almost. He wants to get up front here now. Had a look there for a second, thought he might decide to go below the red.
Mark Whitley is making me nervous. He's wiggling, bobbing and weaving, but it's going to be that of John Forbes giving relentless pressure on the back bumper of that 77, which, you know, we are trying to make that lane work. When you're that second truck in line, you are pushing. You're trying to build that momentum up, but at the same time, you could be the driver that ruins the night for everyone, but just one bad push.
Yeah, one bad push could just be everything that leads to a lot of drivers taking out. Because, like I said, if Whitley just wrecks right here with a push, then, I mean, you got at least 8 trucks involved in this. And then from there, you'll see how many can make it through and try to get woed up as the smoke cloud would be gigantic. So, again, the pushes from the top have been too much for that bottom lane as Whitley not wanting to drop low. I think he's noticed. He likes having this 11 and a 00 on his back bumper. He's been able to really control this here. But as soon as I think that 11 gets cleared, you're going to see him jump low possibly.
They have a little bit of the drivers further on back. Going to be the 6 and 72. Going to be scattering one another. And that's going to be Jonathan Smith, Gregory Smith. Going to be right on top of one another. Gregory Smith has recovered, has looked very out of control at moments, but I gotta say, that 6 machine hoping to survive to make it to the end as we are in our less than 50 laps to go window as drivers up front starting to wiggle a little bit more, but luckily John Forbes, Ethan Smith, they're back in line and leading the way up front.
Leading the way, here they are as Forbes and Smith have been such a dynamic duo all day long. They continue to show that here as Ryan on board here, back looking throughout this field as I believe this is the 72 here. Smith, he was involved in that incident. He's worked his way right back into the picture up tonight. So it shows you can work your way right back into contention. I just still think some drivers are waiting it out as we've got under that 50 to go mark.
I mean, it's making your way up there, and then it's kind of a sit and ride moment where you're trying to figure out, how do I place myself in a position to go for the win? Do I go free wide? Do I just trust the lane I'm in to dissolve and I can just take these positions easy peasy if you're down below? But at the same time, Zach, I mean, super speedway-like racing, so different from other oval racing styles where you've got to worry about the wear and tear a little bit more, mainly because you've really got to be thinking every single lap on those tires. Here tonight, it's how do I make sure I'm focused for every single moment?
Yeah, that is the question for sure. You gotta have laser focus. You know, you just take one little break here and kind of have a mental lapse, and that's gonna be the big one. And it's similar to super speedway racing. You know, you kind of get, you know, lulled into a wreck almost because you're constantly in that pack following the guy ahead of you, and all it just takes is, like I said, a mental lapse, and that could all go away very, very quickly. But with under 50 to go, I expect the aggression level to pick up, and a few drivers in this range here, Fonseca, you got Kralik, you got Cedric Hunter, you got Brandon Colley. I expect a few of these drivers to try to charge their way up here. They're closer to the pack than they've been all night, but just haven't elected to really push their trucks yet, I think.
The main reason why is we still have not had what we coined the money stop, the last stop of the day to make it so you can make it to the end of the race based off of fuel and tires. These drivers, for those that are up front in our top 4 to 5, they still need to come into pit road, and they're aiming in the next about 20 to 23 laps. They're going to have to come into pit road. The rest of the field, they're going to come in about 30 to 35 laps, which is just outside of the window to make it to the end.
That it is. It's going to be super, super close here with how these different strategies work out and how much fuel you take. How much tires do you take tires is going to be a big question too. So we'll have to see how that happens as we loom closer to that. But we haven't had green flag stops yet today. but it very well could happen. And like we said, that was not something we expected. So how many drivers have actually even practiced a green flag stop here at this Atlanta Motor Speedway? That's probably in question for a lot of people. It's still very squirrely up front is Gaudio in the 3. He's had some moments up on that top side following our leader of Whitley up there.
Well, there's one team that I do know that has already done a green flag pit stop, and that's Larson Line Racing that's done so. That's Dakota Moniz, Danny Cochran, Tyler Dengler, and a couple of other drivers. They have already come into pit road and done a green flag pit stop back on that of lap 25 to start this race off. It forced them to be a lap down, needed a yellow. They got it back on the lead lap, but at the same time, most drivers only got a small glimpse of what a pit stop was like, and that was coming into pit road by yourself. And when they came into pit road, they were tracked a lap down. They could be in a spot where, yes, they'll have to come into pit road, but do you even want to risk it if there's a chance for a yellow?
Yeah, that's the question, because a yellow looms at any point. Ooh, the 6 of Gregor Smith up front. I think he's having a moment there as he got it up top, and he's 3 wide now. Is this going to be Jonathan Smith in the middle here? And hopefully no incidents so close between those two. Smith going to drop low here, and Smith now, luckily, it's going to be too wide for him as he's been struggling to keep that truck straight.
And Jonathan Smith in 72 backing out, still seeing a little bit of give here or there of, I'm not racing you right now, it's not that time, but we are closing in. 40 laps to go, still a money stop to be taken. And Zach, I mean, it's more so, it seems like once we get that one last pit stop in, the gloves are off, it's go time. It's all about being up front.
Yeah, it's going to be go time, no doubt. I think a few of these drivers already took the gloves off and are looking to push a little bit harder than the rest of them around them. So we'll see how that elects to work out. When you have drivers on different agendas, it always makes interesting things play out. And, you know, as we do get closer and closer to a green flag stop for these drivers up front, you know, the communication is so key. If you don't communicate your hitting the pit road here with how stacked up this group is, it's different than Daytona. You can kind of just pull off to the left and everybody will know, okay, there they go. They have a huge apron to get it slowed down. Here at Atlanta, they're going to have to slow down in the corners, so you got to be heads up here if you're coming to pit road and letting your competition know.
Don't want to be the driver to cause the big one, but those that have been up front are front 4. John Force, Mark Whitley, Ethan Smith, Anthony Gaudio. I mean, Zach, I feel like it's been us talking about them for the whole 113 laps. They have been the front 4 all night long. The question has always been who's going to be with them. We've seen a lot of picks and chooses on who's going to be where, but at the same time, when do you start to see some of these drivers that were further back? Starting from that of 11th place where you see that of Mark Morales Jr., who had been involved with an incident earlier this race. From that 11th place on back, our drivers are still in wait mode. But when they get that green light, this up front, the big one, the biggest wreck of the night, still looms.
Oh, no doubt, because the pack will be so much more stacked up. And again, like I said, it's going to be so critical coming to pit road here. I think that's when the green light does happen for these drivers, right after that pit stop, and they get that final one done. I think you're going to see a lot of them electing to go for it and just say, you know what, I've waited all race. Now is my chance to go forward, and I'm going to try to make it. But, you know, as they near this pit stop, you know, there's some awesome products that we are sponsored by here. We already talked about that iRacing iFlag and how important it is. Well, I'll tell you what else you get to go check out, and that is the admin box, because it gives you race control at your fingertips via USB with pre-programmed commands with no key bindings necessary. That give you race control and driver functionality such as pit options, is letting your competition know that you're going to pit in or pit out. So go check them out at adminbox.com, and that's adminbox with 2 X's there, and then you can use that discount code FFB/box with 2 X's. Get that discount to have race control at your fingertips.
And as well, after getting your admin box and your iRacing iFlag products, gotta connect to something, and that's where you go to that Advanced Sim Racing. They've got yourself chassis. They've got also that of digital motorsports equipment, such as monitor stands, racing wheels, and much more. Go over to Advanced Sim Racing. Check out their wide selection of equipment and products to be purchased. And while you're looking around, while you're putting those items in your cart, you'll use our discount code FreakyFast5 for 5% off. As the drivers start to ramp up, the question of pit road is starting to be answered, as we are now 10 laps away from our front 5 being forced to come into pit road.
Oops, sorry guys about that. My bad. A little miscommunication for myself there, but yeah, definitely a lot of drivers grouping up here on the bottom as it's starting to get to that point here. When are they going to do it? Let's see when it happens, because that's what I worry, Sam. I worry so much about how pit road is going to happen. Have these drivers pitted? You know, they might have pitted by themselves again, like I said, but have they pitted in a pack like that? That's going to be the big question.
So another one has to be, when you come into pit road, if for some reason we're able to stay green until that point, what do you take tires? Do you decide to just take fuel? Those are going to be options to be thrown out, but usually a sight you see when it's showing time that it's time to go into pit road, single file from our 8th place position on back. They are all in line. This is some bizarre stuff to see, but Zach, it's necessary when we're coming up to pit stops.
Oh, no doubt it's necessary. And I think Mark Whitley, Anthony Gaudio, and Jonathan Smith, they're up top saying, and it's kind of clearing out up here. Maybe we're in the wrong position, but I think they can go long enough that they think that the line should open up here with drivers hitting pit road. I don't think it's going to be Daytona where you see, 20 drivers hit pit road at the same time. I think you're going to see groups of 5, 6, maybe even 10 at a time here hit pit road because just how much time I think you can gain by being in a smaller group hitting pit road.
28 drivers are on track, 28 drivers on the lead lap, and 28 drivers all in line behind these 6 drivers that are side by side. Mark Whitley and Anthony Gaudio, as well as that of going to be Jonathan Smith rolling on the top end. Then you've got John Forbes, Ethan Smith, and that of going to be seen Freed on the low end. These 6 drivers continue to battle out like this, and it's going to be our front 5 currently. Jonathan Smith going to be the driver that's hoping that they continue to stay green, because the 72 is the one driver of these 6 drivers that can go a little bit longer than everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. He definitely can go longer there after hitting pit road that these drivers haven't done up front. So good on him. He has more options than all of these drivers around him. So we'll see what he elects to do. I know he is teammates with Mark Whitley, so probably planning something there to work with that 77 for some stop between that 72 and 77. But we'll see how the teammates all align is. You got the 00 and the 11 up front working together. Those two is, Whitley slides up the top there. That's going to make it 3 wide here. This is getting a little bit dicey with Gaudio now going to the middle, and I think Smith now going to also go by his teammate of Whitley. There's Whitley. I think will drop in behind.
I think that might have been the cue of coming in, setting up with your teammate, got to get in line, but Kyle Rochelle kind of being the blocker right now, not allowing the 72 or the 77 to drop down low, but there's plenty of space being given from 8th place back to 9th, as they're going to be side by side back for our top 7. And it's going to be Kyle Rochelle just picking and choosing where he wants to place that 21.
Yeah, he's kind of got the ability to do that here. He's got all the room in the world in front of him and behind him here to kind of pick and choose which line he wants to run, but he can't do that for too long because this inside line will close in as Hicks gets into the back of Shelley there, I believe in 98, and almost sends him around there. We've seen him have to fight the whip.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you are loving the racing action, hit that like button because it's about to get chaotic out here. These drivers have been ramping it up. Somehow we've been staying this green, and we thought we potentially could see it in stage 1. We didn't see green flag pit stops, but we are now closing in to the lap action when green flag pit stops can come in, and our next yellow could be happening. So share the stream. Let's get as many people viewing this because it's going to be one of the best finishes of the season, and drivers are getting testy. It's time to go here, Zach.
Yeah, it's definitely getting a little bit testy for sure, and it's going to get spicier as, again, more and more drivers jumping up and looking to go forward here as that second pack is really getting a little bit racy back there, led by Fonseca, the 24. Look at this. Drivers pulling low here. This is an attempt to pit here. They're going to get on the apron soon as the 2 teammates. We'll see how it works out for Smith and Forbes.
They were one of the 5 drivers that needed to come into pit road. The teammates who have been together for this whole entire run now come in as one. That of John Forbes, Ethan Smith. Now it's going to be the question for that of Anthony Gaudio, as well as Freed and Mark Whitley. When will they come into pit road? Mark Whitley is now fallen down below. as they've all picked to choose. Radio action about to get chaotic. A lot of drivers telling they're coming into pit road. Here comes Anthony Gaudio. He also comes into 6, and many of others. They're coming. Contact going to be made, but holds on straight. What a save by the 6 and Mark Whitley, but they lost so much time and ground. Tamer now going to slow down. They're all coming in. They're scattering and wrecking on the inside green field. That of Eric Krolick's going to be missing the stop, and somehow we stay green as the 0-1 gets to his pit stall, but a black flag's given out to a wide selection of drivers.
Yes, very much a lot of stuff going on there, and man, oh man, it's going to give Kyle Rochelle the lead. Kralik was the one who whipped through the grass. He actually disconnects, so his race is over after missing pit road. He knew that was probably his last chance, so he's over that as smoke in front of the leaders. I don't know what is going on here, but more and more drivers come to pit road this time. But a lot of these drivers are the drivers that hit pit road on that last caution, and that's going to allow them to go longer here.
And Zach, what's frustrating for a lot of these drivers, they're going 180 miles per hour at their most. They've got to slow down to 45 miles per hour for pit road speed. It feels like you're crawling at that rate, as Ryan Ferraro going to be caught with a speeding penalty. He'll be in a hold spot, but now everyone else, our top 14, they've got to pick and choose when you come into pit road, and you got to hope that you come in with a friend as another cluster of drivers hit pit road.
Yeah, more and more drivers electing to hit pit road, and it's making this crazy because you got to think drivers are going to be pushing so hard here to get up to speed as they come out of pit road, because they know when it cycles through, this is going to be probably where they're at for position. This is your chance to gain spots here with a open track.
And John Forbes, Ethan Smith, right now going to be the leaders of those that came into pit road, and they were the first ones to make their pit stops. Nolan Hicks and Mark Whitley trying to close in on that group, but we keep our cameras on this lead pack. These are the drivers that are going to have to come into pit road. Joshua Freed still out there. He's been out on track now for lap 58 on these tires and fuel. He's had a couple of cautions to try to save a little bit of extra. Oh no, Kyle Rochelle holds on for the 21.
Cool, big moment there as Cedric Hunter makes the evasive maneuver to miss him as Kyle Rochelle saves that thing, and that's a common syndrome we've seen all night is, before Nick Crawford having some connection issues as he blinks away, but man, the 13 of Cedric Hunter here, he barely got by that as that transition to lead to Reed's hands as Freed and him are side by side out front.
They're racing as hard as they can, and right now it is getting a little bit of a spot where drivers have to be as aggressive as they can into pit road. Like you said, got to get up to speed so they don't lose too much time and ground. But we're 20 laps to go here, Zach, and still we have about that of 8 drivers that still need to come into pit road. Freed comes in, but he's all by his lonesome, it looks like.
That is all by his lonesome, and I tell you, I've been watching the lap times with this group, with the battling they've been doing in the racing side by side, back and forth between them. They have really been slowing each other down, running 32-second lap times. As Freed, he had a mistake as he stayed back there in the grass, didn't get to pit road actually, folks. So unfortunate for that 96, didn't get it down there. But man, oh man, with the times that this group is running compared to the group behind them, it's about a second slower right now, and I don't know if they're going to transition too well out here once this all cycles through.
But Zach, they were going to be around that if they're able to stretch it another about that 10 laps, they're going to be 9 to 5 laps off from being able to make it to the end of this race. And these are the drivers that have been sitting back in 20th to that of 23rd for most of this run. They have been patient in waiting, and potentially maybe they've saved enough fuel, or they feel like they can stretch it out and are banking on that yellow flag to come out.
It's very actually possible, Sam. You can, super speedway is a place where you can save a lot of fuel, and with this being a mile and a half, Daytona, we've seen times where people save 3 to 4 laps. This would be a track where you could save probably 6 to 7 laps maybe in fuel if you just rode off throttle. And I think with the lap times they're running, I think you might have called it, Sam. I think they're very well looking to possibly make this to the end here. And if not that, at least have the field laps down here and have the track position as the field would have to take the wave.
And right now, for the drivers that have already come into pit road, it's going to be still the teammates from Blackjack Racing of John Forbes, Ethan Smith leading that pack. But it's a whole bunch of newcomers that are racing with that group and being very aggressive. Trent Jump, Mark Whitley, Anthony Gaudio, Dakota Moniz going to be now in the fray. Danny Cochran as well going to be a part of this group. Practically, it's the drivers from 8th back to 18th that are in a pack that if our front 8 that cannot stretch the fuel long enough, they will be in a spot where they will have to come to pit road, and it's this group that we see on screen that will be our provisional leaders.
That it will be, Sam. And I tell you, the interesting thing is going to be is this lead pack is running about a second to 2 seconds slower than per lap. They're going to be catching up to them here to unlap themselves. This could get a little bit dicey when they go by these guys because they're going to be looking to go by at a very rapid pace here, and we'll see what this group up ahead does. But I think everybody right now, as Christopher Norris takes the lead out front, is just swapping the leads. There's the wrecking.
Wrecking behind, and it's going to be Nolan Hicks who's going to be spun around. He's going to be back in 18th position, racing with the what could have been the provisional leaders, and instead the yellow flag waves, and it is exactly what this lead group was hoping for. For some others, they were hoping for the risk and the gamble.
Yes, this strategy played off perfectly, man. I tell you what, it's caught Forbes in 8th position. From there on back a lap down. They're all going to have to take the wave, and this group's going to be able to pit, fuel up their tires, everything, and start ahead of all the group that's got to wave around.
And everyone's going to wave around, which is going to be putting us with 26 drivers back on the lead lap once all this cycles on through. And Zach, this still is not over. And a reminder, we do have overtime, and I got a feeling it's going to be used up because, Zach, we have raced 137 laps of patient racing, of trying to play your own strategies, give space when you felt like someone else was being aggressive. Throw that out the window. You have to take every position now.
Yeah, this is going to be crazy. This is what the folks came for tonight, man. If you were waiting for the madness to start here in Atlanta, these drivers showed a lot of patience up to this point. It's all thrown out the window. Everybody going for everything. Ooh, I'm telling you what, I'm nervous right now just sitting from the broadcast booth. I could only imagine the driver's feelings right now.
Well, one of the main sponsors here, title sponsor of the ISRC Truck Series, is Race Car Graveyard. Race Car Graveyard is the place to go become a diecast collector. They've got 1/24th, 1/64th ratios of NASCAR diecast available. They got new, used, as well as you can get custom. As right now, you can go use the code RCGY to receive 10% off on your next purchase from Race Car Graveyard. Go follow, as well as go find more information on Instagram at Race Car Graveyard. As the drivers get ready to get rolling, Zach, I got a feeling Race Car Graveyard, it's a great sponsor. I love it, but we're going to see a lot of these trucks go to the graveyard here shortly.
I tell you what, this just got a little bit more spicy too. Let me add this to the mix, folks. Nick Crawford stays out here. We were talking about them saving fuel and making it to try to make it to the end of this race. This caution is going to help that chance for him, so he elects to stay out here. That traps everybody from the 9th position on back to Ethan Smith a lap down. This is huge. This is a game changer because we would have let all these drivers wave by. Crawford stays out. Forbes is the only driver that gets his lap back. Now we're going to have a lot of angry drivers a lap down. Woo, folks, you better get ready.
From 9th all the way back to 26th position, all are trapped one lap down. And for Nick Crawford, he's already gotten a win this season, Zach, so he can do this. He can mess with other drivers. And now, for Nick Crawford, he's got a lot of internet issues. They just might push him back to being put to the end of the line if the race admins deem that his connection is too poor. But that does not allow any of the drivers that are a lap down right now to take a wave around. They're stuck a lap down. If they're going to get a lap back, it's got to come from a lucky dog and a caution. And that means they're going to be on top of one another. And most likely, you're going to have to wait and see and be patient and hope for a yellow if you want that lucky dog spot. But you also got to be the furthest ahead of everyone else that's a one lap down.
Ooh, there's going to be some lucky dog fighting here, man. I tell you what, if you ever thought there was a fight for a lucky dog, this is going to be the fight because every driver that's a lap down is going to be looking at the next one over saying, no, you got to stay behind me. There's going to be blocks for 10th, baby. I mean, this is going to be crazy, folks. I hope y'all are all ready at home because we got 12 laps of madness coming here to 11. And whew, it's going to be wild, Sam.
8 drivers that are on the lead lap: Nick Crawford, Christopher Norris, Kyle Rochelle, Cedric Hunter, Brandon Colley, that of Cody Reed, John McAdams, and John Forbes. First driver one lap down is going to be Ethan Smith. And also, all those drivers that just tried to take a wave around, they're going to be hoping that they can keep themselves in a good spot, but John Forbes is going to be stuck in the middle of all that lap traffic. It's our top 7 that are feeling comfortable up front. Pace car is off. The Logan led 225. We got 11 laps to go. Who will survive? Let's find out as we are back to Green Flag Racing here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
Crawford with a big jump. That's not what you want to see if you're him in that 4 machine. But the 13 to 38, they look to be the closest nose to tails. The 4 blinks out. This is where it's going to get dicey because his connection
is going to change a lot, but it also could be a changing factor of bringing out a yellow, because now his teammates really can't trust the 4, and he's just going to be in line hoping for the best. A lot of groggling going on because there's a yellow, there's a wreck, and drivers get the caution that they need as that of Gregory Smith brings out the yellow.
And I think Ethan Smith going to be the driver in the lucky dog spot. So the 00 going to get back on the lead lap with his teammate. But again, nobody going to be pitting here, so not many wave rounds.
No wave rounds. It's only lucky dogs, as we're going to take a look here on the replay. And for the 6, watch out. It's going to be the 81 of Jason Tamer in the 6. The 6 thinks that he's clear, and contact's going to be made.
Very unfortunate there, and it's just racing in the back of the pack there. And, you know, guys that got to be thinking their race chances have kind of went out the window. If you're back in the 20s, I mean, you got to charge your way all the way up to the lucky dog, then get a caution. And there's only going to be one of those people that's getting the lucky dog. So you got to be kind of upset if you're in that position right now, because you know your race might be in a bad spot unless we get a gigantic wreck, which is still not out of the question.
Really isn't out of the question, and with this yellow, John Forbes now going to be able to get back up with the lead group of 8 drivers that are on the lead lap currently. Ethan Smith, once he gets the wave around, he'll be placed at the end of the line. Going to be a tricky spot for that machine, which means that John Forbes and Ethan Smith, for probably the first time all race long, will not be within 2 to 3 trucks with one another.
Yeah, I think Forbes like this because last time he had to start back there, so he likes this. This will allow him to restart in actually that 8th spot. But yeah, Smith at the tail end of the longest line, and that's going to be way back there. He's going to have to probably hope for something to happen to allow him to get back up in that mix. But he very well could be in the best position, because if something happens up front, he's way back there. He could be looking to be the one that drives through and stays in that spot here to restart in a good spot. So 9 to go right now. Nick Crawford out front, our winner from last week at Bristol. Man, if he could come out here and steal another victory, that would be a sight to see, in 2 in a row at places that you really would not expect to go 2 in a row at.
No, and another thing of note are the team factors that are in this group. Drivers that are on the lead lap. Nick Crawford, again, kind of being the pawn, the sacrificial pawn here on that. What massive, and through a green flag run, pit stops were happening. The yellow comes out. Nick Crawford decides to stay out, hoping that he can save fuel because of the amount of yellows, but at the same time, being the defensive block to make sure that over that of 15 plus drivers could not get the wave around, and also allowing his teammates, Brandon Colley, Cedric Hunter, and that of Christopher Norris, all to be in a winning position.
I mean, it really is an excellent strategy call, I must say. I mean, you got to look at that and say, man, oh man, these guys just kind of played us here. So right now, we'll see. Can Crawford make it on fuel? Does he have enough? These cautions are helping. I'm unsure if he'll make it, but if we get some green-white check, that's where he's going to have to really worry. So we'll see if that 4 has to do that. But at that point, I mean, there's only 9 trucks on the lead lap. He could come down to pit road at that point if he really has to, and not really lose out too much, because the rest of this field that's on the lead lap ain't pitting. They got enough fuel to make it to the end of this race with multiple green-white checkers. So the rest of the field, no wave rounds happen for the rest of the night. It's pretty much going to be wide open racing with a lot of the field a lap down.
Of the drivers that are on the lead lap, I mean, a handful of them, of our 9 that are there, still looking for their first win of the season. And what a powerful race this could be. But one of the wild cards, usually we talk about super speedways of Daytona and Talladega being the 2 wild card races. Well, with the new configured Atlanta, it has now turned into 3 different races that can give you an opportunity from last place to the lead for a chance to win. And Christopher Norris, one of those drivers, started back in 32nd position, trying to win out. For me, one of the drivers that had to start in the back half of the field, now with a chance to win. Pace car goes off. It's time to see. 7 laps to go. Do we stay green, or do we need another chance at a restart? Green flag's out of the air. Nick Crawford takes us going. But again, the blinking issues for the 4 can cause a little bit of chaos, but it's the teammates in line on the outside as Cody Reed gonna force it 3 wide.
Yeah, Cody Reed, the first one, I think, to elect to not do the gentleman's agreement there, and he went below that red line and made the pass. Now he's going to be all over the back bumper of Nick Crawford with him blinking. He's looking to go below that line again here and get to the inside. He's going to turn him.
And just like that, like Gateway spinning out and causing another wreck, but we stay green. No big caution's going to happen yet. They're all able to slow down. Let's take that back, wrecking further back behind the yellow flag flies.
And look who's out front is Christopher Norris. Out front here in position to possibly win this race, and I think it'll be Anthony Gaudio, maybe the driver. No, he got involved in the wreck, so it's going to be Nolan Hicks, I think, getting the lucky dog.
And drivers all trying to slow down. That of Trenton Jump, going to be another driver involved. Eric Stamp, also with required damage to the teammates. You hate to see that for themselves. And man,
definitely a tough call. Ooh, yeah.
And with the timing of this wreck, this might put us inside the regulation green and white checkered at the timing of this yellow. As drivers catch up to the base car, and this is I mean, we got to take a deep breath, mainly because this is going to get chaotic and a little bit of payback in a way, but obviously not wanting to do it in that fashion. But Cody Reed and that of Nick Crawford, they've had their bickers before.
Yeah, they definitely have, and you know, right there, Reed, I mean, just showed a lot of aggression there, going on the apron there, making the pass to get to that position, second in line on the inside, and yeah, Crawford kind of left the door just a little bit open. The 25 stuck his nose there, and so you're going to kind of have this race, and then, you know, if you're that leader, you kind of probably got to stick that left side tire right on that red line if you don't want to have someone go to that inside line, and they were fighting for every position there, and it spins him around, and luckily for him, they really hit nothing there, and it kept green, but some other type of incident there brought that out, and whew, right there getting Hicks, I believe, back on the lead lap for himself as he got the lucky dog. So we got 10 cars now on the lead lap with a shot at it, but a lot of names up here that have not yet won. This could be very interesting to see who can get it done.
Yeah, a lot of drivers shuffling back and forth, and that Trenton Jump is a driver that kind of got into Anthony Gaudio and caused the first spill that bring out that yellow. And that's the main reason why Gaudio was not able to get that of the lucky dog spot back. But this does put in question here, Zach, a little bit of 3v3 action with a little bit of mixing in between of other drivers, but we've got ourselves 3 drivers of teammate action from that of Blackjack Racing, as well as Desert that of Snow with one another as well up front. So it's gonna be quite a duel of how the teammates want to work with one another, with also having John McAdams in the fray and Kyle Rochelle mixed in between.
Yeah, those drivers are kind of the you know, the sole survivors of this year, as these teammates are going to be in position to try to help each other, and that's going to be the name of the game here, helping your teammates get through it. But at some point, you're going to have to throw caution out the window and have to go for it. So we'll see how it all shakes out, but they're going to be coming to 3 to go when we go green here. Norris out front. Can he get his first career win along with Kyle Rochelle and Cody Reed? All 3 of those top 3 drivers yet to win here in this ISRC Truck Series. Sam, this is what they all came for, and man, Atlanta has definitely not played down to the excitement we thought.
New Atlanta, this repaved, newly banked and more narrow course than the old version that was all about being hot, slick, loose, and holding on to dear life on your tire wear. Here tonight, it's about holding on to the draft and hoping that you stay on the lead lap. For the majority of the night, everyone was there, but green flag pit stops with a late breaking yellow changed everything. Nick Crawford stayed out. It left everyone else down 1 lap. And now we are left with a total of 10 drivers on the lead lap. 9 drivers in total together up front, hoping to get the win. But it's going to be 3 laps to go. Christopher Norris, Kyle Rochelle, that of Cedric Hunter, Cody Reed, Brandon Colley, John Forbes, Ethan Smith, John McAdams, Nick Crawford, and that of Nolan Hicks. Hoping to see this race go green and hoping to find themselves into victory lane. Green flag is out. 3 laps to go here, Zach. And it's going to be that of seeing teammates already trying to get in line.
Yeah, you see Cedric Hunter jump to that bottom line there, 3rd truck in line, and he's going to have a shot here now as he's on the back bumper of Reed. Norris up front. The two teammates separated here as Reed and Forbes jump up top. Now you're going to put the two teammates down low. It's a teammate battle now.
It is all on who do you trust, who do you want to be, and it's going to be that of Blackjack Racing on the high line. Cody Reed, John Forbes in line, going to be seeing the help of that of Kyle Rochelle. John McAdams going to be helping that of Desert Snow, and here we go. It's going to be 2 laps. Can we make it to the white flag? If we do, we race it to the end. Zach, this is going to get chaotic and a little bit spicy.
Who's going to pull it off? It's Norris on the bottom. The 38 has been looking for victory this whole time. So is Reed in the 25. He's got to help his teammate up top. The power down the back straightaway looks to go to them, but the inside line is going to look to make a move here coming to the white.
Outside lane is going to have a little bit more help as the inside lane is just 2. McAdams is just not close enough. Coming to that of a right rad white flag. We didn't need overtime, but the rookie behind. It's going to be up front. Christopher Norris, Cody Reed, Zach side by side. Blackjack, they don't have as much teamwork anymore.
Yeah, they got Rochelle helping in the 21. This inside lane's got more power. Can the top side work? The bottom is going to be better here in the corner. The 38 may have the advantage.
Will Cody Reed come down or will he have the momentum? Here comes the surge of the other Blackjack driver. It's Ethan Smith out of nowhere. Christopher Norris, he needs the bump. He needs the help. Cody Reed slides up. He merges. They smack across the line. It's Christopher Norris. Norris wins.
What a move. Great driving and great racing there coming down to the end. Only by 0.04 of a second. I mean, what a finish. Reed second, Hunter third, Rochelle fourth, and Forbes fifth. The top 5 separated by a 10th.
There is no way. Christopher Norris, the driver all week, a lot of drivers assumed was going to bring out the big one. He kept his nose clean. It was body slams thrown around, but the 38 by 41 thousandths of a second survives the beaten and battered 25 who tried to wreck his way into victory lane. Didn't work out. The teamwork comes away, and the power of the 38, he can say thanks to his teammates. Christopher Norris now has a berth to the playoffs.
What a moment. Here's Kali comes by his teammate also, and man, oh man, this kid is going to be super happy here, Sam, as he burns it down and celebrates. And what a job saving it there, too. I mean, he come across the line completely sideways. You know, Reed went for it there. He said, door slam time engaged, and Reed didn't get that all what he needed to, and Norris was able to pull it off. What a win for the books.
Christopher Norris in this league, this is his 41st start, but out of the 40 starts that he had before this, he had only that of a 7% chance of finishing in the top 5, only that of a 17% chance of finishing inside of the top 10, and tonight, on his 41st try, wins here at Atlanta. And Christopher Norris is going to be loving this, one of his first wins here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's been a long trek. Called him one of our most improved drivers after Season 1. Tried to be the most improved driver from Season 2. It took him 3 seasons, and he's into victory lane here in Atlanta.
Man, oh man, Sam, I tell you, congrats to that kid. It's going to be fun here to see how it all shakes out here in our post-race interviews.
Post-race is going to be fun. We've got his teammate for Christopher Norris with Cedric Hunter in 3rd. We've got the rivals of Blackjack Racing in 2nd with Cody Reed. And then this, man, the 38 is going to have fun burning it down. And while he does, we'll step away. When we come back, it's the post-race show here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. We'll be back in just a few moments. What a race. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Freaky Fast Broadcasting post-race show. And the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series did it again. And with spectacular fashion, not as many wrecks as we thought. The big ones weren't as big as we were expecting. But we start things off with our interviewing our third place finisher. We got that, Cedric Hunter. Cedric, we got you on cam as well. I mean, what a run there. 4 laps. It was a duel between Blackjack and your team as well. What was going through your guys' mind there in the final laps, and as well, how much was planned for that of Nick Crawford to stay out there on track?
It was kind of on the fly. Like, caution came out. Obviously, like we weren't going to be able to make it on fuel, but we were like super close, and Norris kind of just threw it out there, like, "Oh, somebody should stay out and put all these guys, like, trap all these guys locked down." And I was like, there's no way I'm doing it. And Nick was just like, screw it, I'll do it. And caught us, or at least it caught me off guard. Honestly, that was like a 200 IQ play on his part, probably play of the season. And then at that point, it was hopefully he can make it on fuel. Unfortunately, he got turned. And on the last restart, I told Norris, I'll do whatever I can to try and get to his bumper. I know starting 4th, it was going to be difficult. Thankfully, whoever was starting 5th had a terrible restart, and I was able to slide in, and then Reed, for his race, went to the top line, and it kind of opened it up. And then at that point, I told Norris, keep your eyes forward, don't look back. I'll try and stay on your bumper, and I won't push you in the corners. And hopefully, we can at least get a win, or we can get a win, but hopefully we could just survive and get a top 3. And coming down to it, I knew we had the preferred lane, and then as long as we could stay together, it was going to be, a sprint coming out of 4. So huge congrats to Norris. I called it in the first week, or was it the first or second week that I want to get him a win this season. And I'm really happy that I was able to push him to 1.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, a crazy finish there coming out the end. Congrats, Cedric, there, bringing home a 3rd place finish, my friend. And I tell you what, take us through it there at the end, because that had to be such a different feeling, because all night, riding in the back, kind of saving your stuff, trying to stay out of the trouble, and the race kind of probably went more clean than I think a lot of people expected, and we had green flag stops play out. I mean, take us through it there, because you had to change your whole game plan here at the end and drive as hard as possible. So did it kind of like, how easy was it to get in that mode of pushing that hard at the end?
Thankfully, I mean, over the years of racing on the sim, kind of flipping that switch wasn't too difficult. It was interesting because we didn't really race anybody the whole race up until the last maybe 15 laps or so. So it was definitely interesting. I mean, the truck got tight and it got loose, and then it felt different than what we felt all night. But that's just a result of riding around 75% throttle or going all out 100% throttle and just never lifting at the end. So yeah, man, that was a great race. It seems like whenever we finish up front, we always put on a good show. So it's good. I'm excited for the rest of the season.
Cedric, it was a great run, and we were excited up in the booth, jumping up and down. But now you've gotten yourself, Nick Crawford, and now Christopher Norris. How are the game plans of trying to get Kali now locked into the playoffs with a win?
Yeah, well, same like Norris. If we can get it all lined up and played out at the end of a race, I'll stick behind Kali and I won't lift. So it's just we'll see. I know Vegas is very similar to this track in the trucks, as in is just pretty much more or less a super speedway as well. So we'll see. He is pretty good at the track, and we've had a pretty good showing as throughout all or across all 4 drivers. We've all had good showings at that track. So hopefully we can get lucky again and we can get ourselves in position. Otherwise, there's still 8 or 9 races left. So I'm sure, Kali's a really good driver himself, and then he'll put himself in those positions. Unfortunately, tonight got a little bit of damage early on in the race and kind of had to battle back. And thankfully he finished, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say like 5th, roughly around there. So we got all 4 drivers in the top 5. So I want to give a huge shout out to the whole team and of course the Norris for getting the win, man.
Well, Cedric, congratulations on an incredible run here tonight. Before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I want to give a huge shout out to all the fans out there tuning in. I want to give a huge shout out to Norris finally getting a league win. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is his first one across all leagues. So, really, really excited and happy to be a part of that. I want to give you a huge shout out to my other 2 teammates, Nick Crawford, for again doing that like incredible strategy. I know a bunch of drivers were upset about it because it ruined their race, but that was a 200 IQ play, and yeah, man, I want to give you guys a huge shout out as well. I can't wait to go back and listen to this tomorrow.
This one was wild, and thanks for giving us a great show there, Cedric, as you're going to be coming away third place. Congratulations on that, and good luck heading to Vegas next week.
I appreciate it, man.
To go from third place, we head to second place, where we find that of Cody Reed. Tried his best, kind of in a similar state as a lot of these other drivers. Started further back, then made the march forward. Cody, you were making the surge. You had the right drivers behind you to help you out, but man, what else could you have done, or how are you feeling after the end of this race?
Well, I feel upset. I mean, I can't be too upset with the finish. I mean, I still finished second. It's my first interview in a while. My first interview of the season, I think. Um, I don't think I could have done anything different. I kind of got duped by Cedric there because he was peeking out behind Norris on the right side. I think if he maybe was a little bit more square, I could have kept that run going. It would have been a nail biter, but I think I could have got him. I got a little boop. Um, I always seem to finish second in the crazy finishes, like Las Vegas last season. So I don't know what it is. I'm just a wreck magnet at the end of the race.
Well, Cody, I was actually about to bring that exact up. Is last time we were at Las Vegas, which we go there next week, you did finish second there and by 0.04 of a second, just like tonight, man, in kind of similar fashion. So, how do you feel about entering that track where you've had some success?
I mean, I'm going into it like any other week. Last season, I kind of got put in that uh position late in the race by just avoiding wrecks because there was a lot of crazy stuff late in the race, like Danny doing some stuff. Um, kind of got me up near the front, and I don't really think I deserve to be up at the front at the end of the race. But who knows what'll happen next week? It's gonna be wild. Um, we're my team's sponsoring the race. That's pretty exciting. We're gonna have some cool cars and everything, so look forward to that next week.
Well, Cody, it was a great, incredible run at the end. We're seeing your 25 flipping at the very end of this thing. But man, congratulations on a fabulous finish, coming away second place, and good luck heading into the next one. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shoutouts.
First of all, I'd like to thank the catch fence for keeping all the fans safe at the end of that because I flew into that thing pretty quickly. I'd also I'd also like to thank my teammates. All of them helped me in some sort of way during the race. Like Forbes at the end of it, and I know Ethan was there at the end, and then McAdam was there pretty much the entire like 3/4 of the race, right behind me or right in front of me, just sticking out right behind the pack. We stayed on that weird fuel strategy that got us to the front of the pack together. That was pretty exciting when that caution came out. So I'd like to thank all my teammates and everything, and I'd like to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast every week. I'd like to congratulate Norris on his first win. That's pretty exciting, and I think that's it.
That's going to be the 25 Cody Reed. Congratulations again on a second place finish, and have a great, good luck heading into next week at Las Vegas.
Yeah, thank you.
We go from second place, we go to the driver that's had his first podium ever. First podium ever, Zach. That's crazy to think. In this series, he's been improving season after season. It just took third time's a charm, I guess, for season 3. Christopher Norris is in victory lane. Chris, this is the first time we get to talk to you up in the booth ever after an ISRC race. How are you feeling after getting the win here tonight?
Honestly, it was that was a dream, man. I mean, Cedric, he did one heck of a push, pushing me to the try over the last couple laps. I honestly thought Cody had it won with Forbes backing him up on the top lane, but man, I was nervous and I am just shaking now.
Well, Norris, I tell you what, buddy, it was a pleasure to call that down at the end because, man, you were nervous up down there, I'm sure, and we were nervous up here because the stuff that was going on track. I mean, now you're going to be locked into the playoffs, man. I tell you, how do you feel about that? Because that's got to be a weight lifted off your shoulders, and to get this first victory, that's just got to be a double whammy.
Honestly, with getting suspended last week and dropping down to like 22nd in points, it is a nice feeling to be locked in.
I mean, Chris, what a run for yourself. I'm just, I know all of us in the booth, I know the league as well, surprised by this win, but what a night to have a great finish for yourself. Chris, the rest of the season, are there any other races that you want to circle up that you might have a chance or feel confident-wise to have another great finish?
Honestly, it's sometimes I don't have the best of luck on them, but it's gonna be road courses or short tracks. Maybe even Texas, but we'll see.
We'll see for sure. But before we let you go, Christopher, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
First off, the team, Cedric Hunter, Brendan Colley, Nick Crawford, both had very good, I guess, strategies, plus helping me out, saying from the start earlier this morning, saying they either wanted me or Brandon to win to lock us into the playoffs, and they made for sure to have it happen. And then also you guys, of course, putting on a great broadcast. You guys are amazing. And then I got a couple friends at Lids, Lids Sports Group. They're pretty cool guys. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, that's going to be a 38. Christopher Norris, congratulations. It took you 41 tries, and you are now a winner of the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. Congratulations on that, and good luck heading into Las Vegas next week.
Thank you.
As from Victory Lane, we go to check out the unofficial results, which were shaken up quite a bit after some of those late accidents. After crossing the line, there was a big one, and then coming to the end of the line, there was another wreck. But Zach, as the results come up, like I said, no one expected this except for probably that team as a whole from Snowy Desert Racing. They had the confidence. They knew it was possible. Everyone else thought it was going to be a wreck fest. And somehow they got Christopher Norris to Victory Lane.
Yeah, I mean, what a call from them again, just to make that call there, to make that happen. And again, a lot of people going with the super speedway strategy to pit early and try to cycle out to the lead, but a caution here in Atlanta is more likely to happen, in my opinion, and you go a lap down when you pit here. So it really caught those guys out and trapped a lot of guys a lap down.
They got trapped, they got stuck, and a lot of them couldn't get out of it. It was going to be Christopher Norris getting the win, Cody Reed going to get second, Cedric Hunter third, Kyle Rochelle fourth, John Forbes fifth, Ethan Smith, Nick Crawford, John McAdams, Brandon Colley caught up with the late race wreck in ninth. Then with Nolan Hicks going to be in 10th. Those were the 10 drivers on the lead lap. Everyone else trapped a lap down or more. But Zach, you look at the list of these drivers, GT Azari caught up with the late wreck, Zach Wilson, Tom Bourne, but the rest of the field, a lot of them were expecting this race, hoping to have a better surge at the end.
Yeah, I really think a lot of guys had something planned. I mean, you brought a few of them up, and it just didn't work out there with Nick Crawford staying out there that time. That really shook up this whole field and called a lot of these guys out, and they were battling for lap down positions. So they might have been gaining spots there, but they weren't in shot to get any farther than 10th or 11th there. So tough night for a few guys, and as they head into Las Vegas, we know how that can be, Sam. So I'm really ready for Las Vegas because tonight Atlanta was a wide open, just crazy race.
Tonight, 6th winner of the season out of the 7 races that have been ran. Will we get winner number 7 next week at Las Vegas? Well, we'll see if the luck is there for themselves. But tonight, super speedway racing at a 1.5-mile track at Atlanta certainly put on a show. The drivers, we got to give big kudos to them. They put respect out there for the first about 135 laps. Then it started to get a little chaotic because you needed yellows to get back on the lead lap, but you didn't want to be involved with them. And it came down to teamwork. That is Snowy Desert Racing, or it was going to be Blackjack Racing. 3 drivers in line, and it was that of St. Christopher Norris get the win at the end of the day. Zach, a wild night for sure, but we got even better racing to be seen throughout this week here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And it all continues on tomorrow night for that of Full Send Racing as they go to Auto Club. Then Wednesday night, it's going to be the Wicked Racing League having their longest races of the season at Gateway. Then Thursday, Stars and Stripes at that in Nashville. Then we get Friday off, and we're right back to racing with the SSR, after their week off, going to be racing for a 1-hour race at Le Mans. What an interesting race that is. I know, Zach, you were part of the crew that kind of orchestrated that one.
Yeah, definitely going to be a fun time, man. I think that's going to be one folks out there not going to want to miss because, that is something that's going to be happening in 2023 is NASCAR is going to be having a car in that 24 hours of Le Mans. So kind of the idea sparked from that. And, man, I can't wait. That's such a historic track. I can't wait personally to compete on it myself, but to see what type of racing it can put on because I really do think it does suit a stock car. And we could see a pretty interesting finish, especially with those final chicanes there coming down to a checkered flag.
Excited to see how the drivers can react again with the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series at Le Mans Saturday night. And then we got Sunday off for the 802 Next Gen Cup Series. They're going to have their season finale in 2 weeks. But then next week, we're right back here for one of the historic, monumental race tracks that is going to cause drama. It's done so the last 2 seasons. Las Vegas, where drivers gamble it all and usually risk it all, and it comes back just smacking them in the face. But will they survive? Time will tell. We hope to see you then. But for tonight, here in Atlanta, the Logan-led 225, first-time winner of the series, that of Christopher Norris, gets to go to victory lane. And for us, we get to step aside and call it a night. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer, thank you for joining us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Atlanta, what a special one. Las Vegas, we know it's going to be great and grand, and we hope to see you then. And if we don't, we'll see you sometime throughout the week. See you then, and have a great rest of your night.